This mother's approach to raising her children is very unique. She was getting ready to take her children to brush their teeth, but her daughter said she had already brushed her teeth last night. Her son quickly nodded in agreement. The mother immediately said to her children, "Then you already ate dinner last night, so you don't need to eat today. You also had snacks yesterday, so don't eat any more today." The two children immediately got up and rushed to brush their teeth. It must be said that this method is really practical for children. Erin's daily life is more difficult than that of an ordinary mother. She picked up her son with her left arm and held her daughter's hand with her right, and finally got both children onto the school bus. In order to share the pressure with her husband, Erin was preparing to go to a company interview for a secretarial job today. Since getting married, she rarely went shopping for clothes. In order to dress more presentably for the interview, she dug out her pre-marriage professional suits. Then she dressed up carefully and hurriedly left. Though Erin was once a top performer in the financial industry, after years of not working, returning to the workforce wasn't easy. The boss, upon learning she was a mother of two, immediately rejected her. Erin confronted the boss about why the interview was so superficial. The boss reiterated that their company doesn't hire stay-at-home moms. Erin explained she needed to earn money to pay the mortgage and provide a good life for her children. The boss, with no other option, picked up her resume and asked about her work experience in the past 6 months. Erin was speechless. All she had done during that time was laundry, cooking, and taking care of her children. She left disappointed. This is how difficult it is for housewives to return to the workplace. Thinking back on her life over the past 5 years, Erin has never been to a coffee shop since she got married. She only drinks instant coffee that costs 5 yuan on the street. Every time she gets a supermarket flyer, she is the first person to rush in and grab things, even when going out. She carried her children's luggage alone without needing anyone's help. Though life was so difficult, she had never once complained. After picking up the children from school, Erin prepared to buy some discounted bread. Coincidentally, she encountered her neighbors in the neighborhood and sat down to chat. At that moment, her two children began playing with the bread toys in the store window. Erin immediately shouted to stop them and rushed over. At that moment, she was on the verge of breaking down. Everyone who witnessed the scene was speechless. The store clerk also gave Erin an unfriendly look. Soon, Erin's husband received a notification about the credit card transaction. He immediately called Erin to ask what happened. At that moment, Erin was scolding the children. Later, the family carried the large cake home. Her husband blamed Erin for spending money recklessly and not knowing how to save. She hurriedly explained to her husband that she had no choice but to spend the money today. Upon returning home, Erin sat down with the children to eat the cake. Tom asked his mother what they would have for dinner. Erin replied, "Of course, we'll eat cake." Lucy asked her mother what they would have for breakfast tomorrow. Erin said she wouldn't cook until they had finished eating the cake. The two children immediately promised they wouldn't misbehave again. Erin couldn't help but sigh. Miho came home from work and saw the mess in the house, which made him furious. He then took off his socks and lay down on the sofa. Erin couldn't stand his behavior and said a few words. Miho actually said that Erin did nothing all day. Erin asked him what he had done at home. She took care of the children's daily needs, but her husband only watched TV and didn't care about anything else. Miho angrily said that he worked hard at the company. Erin said that she did housework and took care of the children all year round. She would rather go out to work than stay home taking care of the children and doing housework. Erin was so upset that she grabbed her suitcase and decided to leave home. Miho not only didn't stop her but also said that Erin had been planning this for a long time. Erin dragged her suitcase alone on the street. At that moment, she didn't know where to go. Suddenly, it started raining heavily, so she rushed to the nearby bus stop to take shelter. Erin opened her bag and found that her wallet and cell phone were missing. She broke down and cried loudly at the bus stop. As the rain got heavier, Erin felt a chill. She took some clothes out of her suitcase but found that it was full of her children's toys. Only then did she realize that she had left in such a hurry that she had taken the wrong suitcase. Just as Erin was wondering what to do, she heard a strange man's voice behind her. Erin thought he was a thief and hurriedly took out the toy gun. But this person was actually Erin's new neighbor. Taus asked her to put down the gun and called out her name. Erin was scared and asked him if he was following her. She was about to shoot the man to scare him. Taus instinctively leaned back and lay down on the ground. Erin looked at him and laughed out loud. Taus had actually found Erin's wallet at his doorstep. He saw her ID inside and realized it was Erin's. Taus happened to see Erin leaving and followed her home. He advised Erin to go home and take care of her child, and even helped her carry her luggage back. Erin felt embarrassed about going home so soon after leaving. She was curious about who he really was. Taus's true identity was actually a top-tier special agent. He had been framed as an internal spy while on a mission to evade the organization's pursuit. He had to change his name and move to a new place. Aaron's home was always noisy and chaotic, while Taos lived a life of constant vigilance and heightened sensitivity. When the two returned home, Aaron hesitated for a while before finally mustering the courage to enter the house. Amazingly, the house had been tidied up spotlessly by Miho. Aaron's anger instantly dissipated, and she was overjoyed. She collapsed onto the sofa and fell into a deep sleep. When Aaron woke up, she found the money and an apology letter her husband had left for her. However, she had no idea that her happy family was about to face a tragic turn of events. That day, Miho accidentally scraped a nearby car while getting out of his vehicle. He unexpectedly witnessed a murder inside the car. What was even more terrifying was that he made eye contact with the killer. Miho was so scared that he trembled and quickly drove away. However, the killer had already remembered his face. On the way home, Miho kept looking behind him to see if there were any cars following him. He finally made it back to the building and thought he was safe, but the killer caught up with him and killed him. At that moment, Erin had already prepared dinner at home, but her husband hadn't returned yet. A security guard on patrol found Miho lying unconscious on the ground. The security guard called Erin to come and check on the situation. Erin rushed her husband to the hospital, but it was too late. She couldn't believe that her husband was dead. She rushed into the room and tried to wake her husband up. Erin was devastated. Yesterday, her husband was still arguing loudly with her, but today he was suddenly gone. She was heartbroken and asked the hospital to perform an autopsy. At the same time, the killer returned to his employer to report for duty. The employer was none other than the boss of the company Erin had interviewed with earlier. The boss took out a plane ticket and told the killer to leave the country as soon as possible. But the killer said that there had been a change in plans. He said that someone had witnessed the murder, so he had taken care of the witness as well. The killer took out Erin's husband's license plate number and asked his boss to help investigate. The next day, Erin was at the hospital preparing for her husband's funeral and asked her neighbors to take care of her children. The neighbors' children wanted to use the bathroom, so he told Tom and Lucy to play in the playground and not to run around. But as soon as the neighbor left, the killer from yesterday appeared. The killer looked at the photo in his hand. Those two children were his targets. When the neighbor returned, Tom and Lucy were nowhere to be found. He hurriedly called Erin. At this moment, the killer was walking down the street with the two children. The neighborhood committee immediately called a meeting of all the housewives in the community after learning that the children were missing. Those present began to share the news of the children's disappearance through a group chat. Soon, everyone in the community received the news. The killer did not know that he had walked into a trap. The women in front of him rushed towards him excitedly. He calmly prepared to turn back, but several more women came from behind. He pulled the two children and changed his route. As a result, a group of people rushed towards him from the front. Seeing this, the killer had no choice but to let go of the children and flee in panic. Erin also rushed back from the hospital at that moment. She ran over and hugged the two children, sobbing uncontrollably. Everyone else also breathed a sigh of relief. Taos happened to arrive back at the neighborhood in a car at that moment. As he got out of the car, the killer also got into the same taxi. He walked to the entrance of the neighborhood and happened to see everyone gathered there, so he also stopped to watch the commotion. Erin scolded the children for not staying with strangers. The two children immediately started crying loudly. Lucy said that the man said their mother was sick, so they left. The police also arrived at this moment. Taos noticed the photo of the killer on a neighbor's cell phone and instantly realized something. After returning home, Taos looked at the clues he had collected. He connected everything together. But why was Erin's family involved in this turmoil? He decided to protect them and investigate the truth in secret. After her husband's death, Erin had to take on the responsibility of supporting her family. In the morning, she delivered milk in the neighborhood, and at noon, she worked at a fast food restaurant. When she returned home, she cleaned the house and took care of the children. After finishing everything, Erin cried alone in the living room. She had no idea how she would get through the future. That day, Erin was submitting her resume online when she suddenly received a call from the company she had interviewed with before. Erin went to the company to sign the contract and was curious as to why they had suddenly given her another chance. The boss made up an excuse to brush her off. Erin was shocked to see the high salary in the contract. The boss was actually afraid that Erin would suspect the cause of her husband's death. He decided to hire Erin and keep her with a high salary. Erin was overjoyed. Now she had to find someone to help take care of the children. She hurriedly found an auntie to take care of the two children. Little did she know that on her first day, the auntie was neglecting her duties and playing with her phone. Taos saw this and immediately snatched the phone from the auntie, suspecting her identity. Just then, Erin arrived. The auntie said she didn't want the job anymore. Taus immediately offered to be the nanny and help take care of the two children. Erin was surprised but decided to give it a try. As soon as Taus arrived at Erin's house, the two children greeted him enthusiastically. Lucy came home and handed Taus a toy teacup. Tom brought some snacks. Taus was a bit at a loss and placed the items on the table. However, the two children didn't move and kept staring at him. Taus immediately understood their meaning. He picked up the teacup and pretended to take a sip. Tom asked him why he wasn't eating what they gave him. Although Taus thought the candy was a little dirty, he was afraid that the children would be disappointed. He nervously picked up the candy and slowly put it in his mouth. Tom immediately smiled with satisfaction. Erin came over and was startled. At that moment, Taus had just swallowed the candy. Tom told his mother that he had found the candy in the park. Taus breathed a sigh of relief. Erin politely apologized to Taus and politely declined his offer to be a babysitter. She didn't know what the man in front of her wanted to do as a babysitter. After all, she didn't know him very well and didn't feel comfortable with him. Taus quickly said that he needed money, so he was looking for a lot of part-time jobs. Seeing that Erin was a little indecisive, he said that she could try it out for a few days first, to investigate the truth behind Erin's husband's murder. Taus decided to use the babysitting job as a cover. After returning home, he recalled the message on the flower basket, which mentioned Miho's workplace. He also thought about the toys scattered all over Erin's house and the messy kitchen. Taus felt his thoughts growing chaotic. At that moment, the killer, fearing his actions would be exposed, began eavesdropping on Erin's family. Jack had previously given Lucy a heart-shaped sticker, which actually contained a mini listening device. But he didn't know that Lucy had given all the stickers to her kindergarten friends, so all Jack could hear was children going to the bathroom or being scolded by their parents. The sticker Lucy gave Taus also had a listening device hidden inside. That day, Taus was exercising at home when the doorbell rang. He had just moved in, so how could anyone be looking for him? He cautiously took out his gun and walked to the door, but saw three strange neighbors. The neighbors immediately started asking Taus about his age and educational background, but as a secret agent, Taus couldn't possibly reveal his personal information. Erin's first day at work didn't go so well either. She discovered that although her job was to be her boss's secretary, her boss only gave her trivial tasks to do. She had to buy coffee, change decorations, and even help prepare her boss's lunch. None of the research Erin had done beforehand was of any use. After work, the boss even prepared a welcome party for Erin. Erin couldn't refuse, so she asked Taus to pick up her children from school. As it turned out, the tall and handsome Taus attracted the attention of all the parents just by standing there. Unable to stand the gossip, Taus put on a pair of sunglasses. Who knew that this would make the mothers even more amazed? One of the mothers even took the initiative to approach him. The two children looked at the uncle wearing sunglasses in front of them and were a little confused. Taus immediately took the two children to the playground to play on the slides. The neighbors were also watching Taus secretly from the side. Seeing the expressionless man, the neighbors were all talking about him. The next second, Taus pulled out a bottle of drink from his bag. The two women thought Taus's action was so cool. At that moment, Taus noticed Tom nearby sliding down the slide in all sorts of strange positions. To keep them entertained, Taus reluctantly joined the slide lineup. The happier the children played, the more desperate Taus felt. A kind neighbor told Taus that if he knew how to refuse the children, he would be exhausted. Seeing the satisfied neighbor, Taus collapsed on the slide. When it was time for dinner, Taus took out the bento box Erin had prepared in advance. Erin had also prepared one for him. Taus picked up a piece and put it in his mouth. For the first time, he felt the warmth of home. Just then, Erin's phone rang. Her boss had invited her to dinner, so she asked Taus to watch the kids for her that night. Taus agreed without hesitation. While eating, Erin didn't forget to ask about work. She asked her boss about the company's business scope, but her boss told her not to worry about the company's business. Erin said that she felt guilty for earning such a high salary while doing so little work every day. At that moment, her boss suddenly asked Erin if he was handsome. Erin immediately said that he was very handsome. Then her boss asked about Erin's husband. Erin wondered if he would try to seduce her if she said she didn't have a husband. She immediately replied that her husband was at work. The boss felt depressed after hearing this and couldn't understand why Erin would lie. At that moment, Taus's former colleagues were discussing him. They praised Taus as the most skilled agent in the country's history. In reality, Taus was currently at home with his children, watching cartoons. After that, the children played various games with him. After finishing the games, It was time for the children's most dreaded routine, brushing their teeth. They told Taos they had already brushed their teeth last night and then walked out. Taos decided to use a competition to keep them in line. He took the two of them to the living room and had them compete in push-ups. The first one to finish 10 push-ups wouldn't have to brush their teeth. As expected, Tom, being a boy, won the competition. By the time Taos finished helping Lucy brush her teeth and came out, Tom had already fallen asleep in the living room. Taos gently put both of them to sleep. Erin finally rushed back home. She apologized to Taos for coming home late. Erin was very surprised to learn that the children were already asleep. They weren't children who fell asleep easily. Taos explained that maybe the children were too tired from playing. Erin was a little moved. It seemed that Taos was really serious about this job. When Taos was about to leave, Erin called him back. Erin asked him if he could officially become the children's nanny. Taos didn't hesitate and agreed immediately. The next day, while Erin was cleaning the house, she suddenly received a call from a neighbor. It turned out that the neighbor's bicycle had been stolen. While checking the surveillance footage, she discovered the scene from the night Erin's husband had been involved in an incident. When everyone arrived, they saw Erin's husband rushing into the building in a panic. The neighbor also grew suspicious, as it looked like someone was chasing him. Then, a man in black with a hat appeared in the footage. Everyone immediately realized that Erin's husband might have been murdered. At that moment, Jack was packing his luggage. He heard everything they were saying. While everyone was discussing the matter, they suddenly noticed that Taos, who had been standing nearby, had disappeared. At that moment, Taos had already entered Erin's car. He planned to find some clues from the dashcam. Taos checked Erin's husband's navigation system and took the memory card. The neighbors were giving Erin advice. They also thought of checking the dashcam. But after everyone left, the security guard's computer suddenly turned on by itself. The folder containing the surveillance videos had been automatically deleted. Everyone went to the underground parking lot, but they couldn't find the memory card in the car. There was nothing unusual on the navigation system either. The neighbors asked Erin if she had noticed anything unusual when she was cleaning the car earlier. At that moment, Erin remembered the box of cake on the passenger seat. The neighbors found it suspicious. The store was far away and very expensive. Someone must have gone there for a reason. Meanwhile, Taos was at home reviewing the dashcam footage. Suddenly, he heard a man's voice begging for mercy. After watching it several times, Taos also realized something was wrong. The killer followed closely behind and also arrived at Erin's car. He was also there to find the dashcam to destroy the evidence. After discovering the memory card was missing, Jack also noticed the family photo of Erin's family in the car. The next day, after work, Erin also found her husband's former boss. She unexpectedly learned that on the day her husband had the accident, he had gone to the area near the cake shop to visit a writer. But strangely, although Miho had bought a gift, he did not meet with the writer. The boss told Erin that Miho had been under a lot of pressure at work during that period. Erin was deeply remorseful, recalling their previous arguments. She had always blamed her husband for not understanding her hardships, but she herself had not noticed how difficult her husband's life was. At the same time, Taos was at home taking care of his two children. His career as a nanny was also facing unprecedented challenges. Tom suddenly ran over and pestered him, saying he couldn't find his toys. Lucy whined that her toy was missing too. Taos felt his head spinning. Then Taos remembered the number the male neighbor had left earlier. But in the end, he gave in to fate and called the number. The male neighbor was thrilled to receive the call. With his help, Taos finally figured out what the children were talking about. Taos, who had once been a spy, immediately found Tom's toy. Tom was so happy that he started wiggling his butt. Taos also found Lucy's lost toy in the room. Seeing the two children finally return to their cute and obedient selves, Taos finally breathed a sigh of relief. By the time Erin returned home, it was already quite late. Taos was worried about Erin's safety and told her not to wander off. Taos was about to leave, but his stomach started growling. Erin felt very guilty and hurriedly cooked a bowl of noodles for Taos. Distraught, Erin opened up to Taos and talked about her husband. It wasn't until so long after her husband's death that she realized marriage should be about mutual understanding and tolerance. The next day, Erin was full of energy again and took the two children to school. Seeing how strong Erin was, Taos couldn't help but feel sorry for her. When Erin rushed to work, her son called her back. Erin almost forgot the most important thing of the day. The air was filled with an awkward and ambiguous atmosphere. After Erin left, Taos successfully sent the children to the school bus. The neighbors then invited Taos to have tea with them and chat about the children. Taos, however, said he wanted to keep his distance from them. The neighbors watched Taos leave and began to gossip. They thought Taos' behavior was a little strange. In fact, Taos was investigating the murder of Erin's husband. He arrived at the home of the security minister, who had also been murdered. But there was a woman hiding in the closet. Soon, the two of them were fighting, and the lights in the room were accidentally turned on. Taos discovered that the person in front of him was his colleague, Ji-yeon. The two of them go to a coffee shop. This is their first meeting in 3 years. Ji-yeon asks him how he has been spending his time. Taos doesn't go into detail, only telling her that he thinks the security minister was murdered. Ji-yeon is a little excited to finally find someone who shares her thoughts. Taos tells her that someone witnessed the murder of the security minister. However, because there are undercover agents in the National Intelligence Service, he cannot reveal any specific information. Taos also reminded Ji-yeon that they should not tell anyone about their meeting. It was almost time for the children to get out of school. Taos said he had to go and bid farewell to Ji-yeon. Just then, Ji-yeon took out the sticker listening device she had hidden in her bag. She pretended to say goodbye and stuck it on Taos's back. After Taos left, she immediately called her colleague. Taos picked up the children and went to the playground as usual. At the same time, Ji-yeon followed the tracking device and arrived in the neighborhood. Seeing the former top agent now acting like a middle-aged man taking care of children, she was very surprised. Ji-yeon speculated that Taos might have married a woman with children. At that moment, she noticed the neighbors talking about Taos. Hearing the word nanny, Ji-yeon was speechless. What kind of woman could make Taos become a babysitter? On the way home, Lucy suddenly called out to Taos. She then tore a sticker off Taos's back. She asked Taos if she could have it. Taos took the sticker and tore it open. To his surprise, there was a mini tracking device inside. He looked around and noticed a shadow hiding in the grass. Taos stuck the sticker on Lucy's hand and then took the children to buy ice cream. While the two children were choosing, Taos secretly tore off the sticker and stuck it on the freezer at the convenience store. Erin called at that moment to ask about the children. She instructed Taos not to let them eat too much sweets, otherwise the children wouldn't eat properly. Just then, Taos noticed Ji-yeon across the street. He made an excuse and hung up Erin's call immediately. He then took the children out the back door. Seeing that no one was coming out, Ji-yeon realized something was wrong. She rushed inside and discovered the tracking device stuck to the freezer. At that moment, Taos had already returned home with the children. Taos thoughtfully took out a handkerchief and wiped the corners of their mouths clean. Lucy obediently gave Taos a beautiful sticker. Looking at the sticker in his hand, Taos suddenly remembered something. He immediately returned home and found the sticker Lucy had given him earlier inside. There was indeed a listening device. Taos quickly destroyed the sticker and returned to Erin's house to retrieve the photo of the assassin. He confronted Lucy, asking if the sticker was given to her by that man. Lucy said she had given the sticker to a classmate. Taos felt a sharp pain in his head. This was a very difficult task. Soon, Taos appeared at the door of the male neighbor's house with the children. The male neighbor obviously didn't expect Taos to show up. Taos stammered that he had come over to play. He followed the children into the male neighbor's house. Taos looked around the house to see if he could find the sticker. The male neighbor kept making small talk with Taos. Taos finally noticed the listening device stuck on the door. He suddenly stood up, startling the neighbor. Taos made an excuse about how the materials for his home renovation were very carefully selected. While the neighbor was helping him get coffee, he quickly removed the listening device. Then Taos squeezed next to him and started chatting. With the neighbor's help, Taos and the children searched for stickers in all the neighbors' homes. The last stop was the neighborhood committee chairman's house. The director took the initiative to ask Taos if he had gone to everyone's homes to join their organization. Taos looked confused and asked what the organization was for. The director said that it was an information-sharing organization within the community. When Tom and Lucy got lost before, it was thanks to the community's information network that they were almost caught. Taos explained that he didn't want to join, but the director got angry and asked him what his purpose was in going to his neighbors' homes. She picked up her phone and was about to notify everyone to be careful of Taos. Taos had no choice but to join the neighborhood intelligence organization under the director's threats and enticements. Only then did the director agree to let Taos visit her home. Taos took the children back home and found that a sticker was missing. When Erin came back, she called Taos into the room. She also learned from the group chat that Taos had taken the children to visit the neighbors. Erin reminded Taos that he should have told her beforehand. Suddenly taking the children to someone else's house would definitely cause the neighbors to have opinions, although they were providing information and helping each other. If they ever had any issues with Taos, they might unite and force Taos to move. Taos was at a loss and didn't know how to explain it to Erin. Erin was worried about Taos, but her workplace life didn't seem to be going smoothly either. At lunchtime that day, she asked her boss what he wanted to eat. Just as Erin finished placing the order, the landline rang. She took the initiative to ask her boss if he had changed his mind again. Her boss said he wanted to order sushi to go. Erin was completely desperate, but just as she was about to leave, her cell phone rang again. This time, Her boss said he wanted stir-fried rice cakes. Erin looked at her boss eating the rice cakes and asked him if he was pregnant. In the afternoon, Erin brought a package for her boss. Just as she was about to leave, the boss called her back. The boss knew that Erin was very interested in the imported leather bags the company had imported. He immediately took out the leather bag from the box. When Erin found out that the bag cost 1 billion won, she was speechless. The boss mocked Erin for needing to improve her taste. On the way back, Erin was still in shock. She wondered what kind of person would use such an expensive leather bag. She was so lost in thought that she almost missed her stop. When she finally realized it, her backpack was stuck in the door. Erin looked at her bag, which had been damaged by the door, and broke down. She walked home dejectedly and noticed a new bag store called King's near her house. Looking at the exquisite bags in the window, Erin was lost in memories. At that time, she had just given birth to her child, and her husband gave her some money to buy a bag to treat herself. Erin was very touched, but when it came time to actually buy one, she couldn't bring herself to do it. She spent a small portion of the money on a fake bag, but that was enough to make Erin happy for a long time. Erin looked at the damaged bag in her hand and felt very bad. If she had bought the real thing at the time, would the situation be different now? Just then, the store staff noticed Erin. The store owner was none other than Tao's colleague, Ji-yeon. Ji-yeon looked at Erin from afar and told her that the bag was not for sale. Erin proudly said that even if it were for sale, she wouldn't buy it. At that moment, Taos was playing with the two children. They played a game of picking up balls, and when they got tired, they sat on a bench together blowing bubbles. The children played on the exercise equipment, and Taos accompanied them and exercised with them. Then Taos taught the children how to do push-ups. However, his teaching method was a little special. At dinner, Erin asked the children what they did today. Lucy learned it in a very imitative manner. After the children finished eating, Erin put their leftovers on her plate. She said to herself that this was the only way to make herself fat. Just then, Erin realized she had left her cell phone in the office, but Taos wasn't home to help her look after the children. With no other choice, Erin had no choice but to take them to work with her. The children ran to the sofa, cheering and jumping around and playing with the stuffed pillows. Erin reminded them not to be naughty. Then she started looking for her cell phone in the office, but she couldn't find it in her office or her boss's office. Just then, Erin's stomach suddenly started to hurt. She could only tell the children to stay in the office and not run around. The two children agreed readily. Tom then said he was thirsty. Erin had no choice but to endure the pain and get 2 bottles of drink for them. Before leaving, she specifically told the children not to move around. The 2 children were very obedient, but they walked into the boss's office. Tom happily sat on the boss's chair and spun around. At that moment, they noticed the beautiful gift box on the desk. They opened the box and found a white handbag inside. Lucy took the handbag out, but her brother told her to put it back. The sisters then got into a fierce argument. When Erin returned and found the children missing, she panicked and rushed into the boss's office. Seeing the scene before her, she was speechless. Even if she sold herself, she couldn't afford to pay for the handbag. Erin rushed forward to try to wipe the handbag clean, but such an expensive handbag couldn't possibly be restored to its original condition in an instant. Seeing their anxious mother, the children couldn't help but burst into tears. At that moment, the boss arrived at Erin's house with his phone, but no one answered the door no matter how hard he knocked. Taos returned just as he was getting out of the elevator and encountered the boss. The two looked at each other in surprise. Just as the elevator doors were about to close, Taos quickly blocked them. He immediately asked the boss what he was doing there. The boss said he was looking for Erin, but Taos kept asking him why he was looking for Erin. The boss explained that he was Erin's boss, but Taos was full of hostility towards him. The first meeting between the two ended unhappily. At this moment, Erin was also walking home desperately with her child in her arms. Taos suddenly appeared and Erin was startled. Seeing Erin alone with a bag and her child, he offered to help carry them. When they arrived at the door, Taos returned Erin's phone. He told Erin that her boss had just been there. Erin looked panicked. She didn't expect her boss to come to her home. Taos didn't understand her panic, but he thought it was strange that the boss would personally deliver the phone to an employee's home. Erin collapsed on the ground and muttered to herself that she had made a mistake. Taos nervously asked her what had happened, but Erin did not intend to tell Taos about it. Soon, Erin called the neighborhood committee director to her home. The director was shocked to see the damaged bag in Erin's hands. She said she had seen many expensive bags, but she had never seen one without a label or a brand logo. Erin explained that it was handmade by a famous Italian artisan. The head picked up the bag and examined it carefully before finally finding a label inside. She asked Erin to take a photo of the label and the box it came in. She had a classmate in Italy who ran a leather goods business and could help inquire. Erin was deeply moved, but thinking about facing the boss tomorrow, she felt like she was about to break down. The next day, the boss opened the box and immediately asked Erin what was going on. Erin panicked and said she would work hard to pay for the bag, but the boss took out his cell phone, glanced at it, and muttered that there were only 5 days left. Erin kept apologizing, but the boss wasn't worried about compensation or price. He was extremely angry and kicked Erin out without saying a word. After being kicked out, Erin immediately went to a real estate agency. She planned to sell her house to pay for the bag. However, the agent said that if she sold it in a hurry, she would lose a lot of money. For Erin, a single mother, this was a huge sum of money. She left the agency with a heavy heart. But just then she ran into Taus. Taus asked her why she was here during work hours. Erin didn't hide anything and told Taus about the trouble the 2 children had caused. Even if she sold her house, she wouldn't be able to afford the compensation for the bag. At that moment, Erin deeply regretted taking the job at that company. Upon hearing the company's name, Taus seemed to recall something. He had also investigated that place while tracking down the killer. Taus couldn't help but feel filled with doubts. Erin then shared this heartbreaking news with her neighbors. When she and her neighbors arrived at the company, the boss was sitting in the lobby of the building. Erin quickly ran up to greet him. The female neighbor hid on the side and silently observed the boss. Sure enough, women's powers of observation are extraordinary. She felt that the boss must have spent a lot of money on plastic surgery. At this time, Taus had already begun his plan. He followed Gion to their information point. Their information point was the Kingdom handbag store. Taus pulled out the assassin's photo and told Gion to start investigating from this person. He also asked Gion to look into the company where Erin worked. Immediately after, Taus rushed off to pick up the children. Tom suddenly looked uncomfortable. Taus knew he needed to use the restroom, but there were none nearby. The 3 of them ran all the way to the elevator. Just as the elevator doors were about to close, an old lady slowly walked in and pressed the button for the 3rd floor. The farthest distance in the world is when you're right at the bathroom door but end up peeing your pants. Back home, Taus immediately helped Tom take a shower. Seeing the 2 of them getting along so well, Taus really looked like a kind and loving father. Next, Taus started washing Tom's clothes. The children watched their uncle busy hanging up the laundry. They ate ice cream while apologizing to Taus. Lucy asked Taus if they could go to his house to play. Taus said that his house was clean and not suitable for them to play in. At this moment, Erin finally waited for her boss to return. She once again said that she would work hard to save money to compensate him for the bag. But strangely, her boss said that he didn't need the money and that they would discuss compensation after he returned from Italy. This made Erin even more confused. Wasn't 100 million won not even money to her boss? After returning home, Erin noticed the children's clothes on the shelf. She sent Taus a message to ask about the situation. Taus was startled awake by the sudden sound of his phone. He wondered how Erin knew about Tom's diaper. Erin saw that Taus hadn't replied and thought he was angry. She quickly sent an emoji to comfort the hard-working Taus. Taus also started searching through the emojis in the chat box, but he was a straight guy and had no idea what those emojis meant. Accidentally, Taus sent an angry emoji. Erin saw the message and panicked. She quickly sent Taus an apology text. The next morning, Taus found Gion. Gion told him everything she knew about Erin's boss. This scene was witnessed by the male neighbor. When everyone gathered for lunch at noon, the male neighbor took the initiative to ask Taus if he was in a relationship. Taus panicked and explained, but accidentally knocked over the food on the table. The male neighbor told Taus to calm down and that there was nothing wrong with being in a relationship at this age. At this moment, the director interrupted everyone. She said that she had found the source of the international handbag. Everything Erin's boss said was a lie. The female neighbor also revealed that Erin's boss had undergone full-face plastic surgery. Erin was furious upon hearing this. She told everyone that she would definitely find some useful clues in the company's secret room. Erin listed all the possible combinations and tried each one. After her persistent efforts, the door lock finally opened. Erin tiptoed into the room. The room was neatly arranged with leather bags of various colors and styles. Erin looked at the English words on the shelf and felt suspicious. Then she took one of the bags down. The label inside the bag was also a string of strange numbers. But this string of numbers was completely different from the numbers on the bag she had damaged earlier. Erin took out her cell phone and took pictures of all the bags. She also made a table of them. After analyzing them, She found that all the numbers had nothing in common. Erin found this very strange. Taos was following Jiyeon as they tracked the new Minister of National Security. Tae 1. He suddenly realized that the man who came to meet them was Erin's boss. Taos saw the exquisite gift in the boss's hand. He suddenly remembered Erin crying to him about the compensation for the handbag. He immediately understood that this international company was a shell company used for bribery. Taos immediately thought of Erin's situation. He asked Jiyeon to help investigate the company. Then Taos hurriedly called Erin and told her to leave the company immediately. Erin had finally found a clue and naturally wouldn't leave. Taos said he missed her so much and would be there soon. This sudden confession left Erin completely dumbfounded. However, Erin didn't follow Taos' advice and continued to look through her boss's computer. She copied a strange list from the computer, but as soon as she left the company, she accidentally bumped into a man. Erin seemed to remember something. When she went for the interview, she had also bumped into a man. That man seemed to have had his funeral on the same day as her husband's. Erin immediately called Taos back and told him to wait for her downstairs at her company for half an hour. She then went to the funeral home and asked the staff for information about the man. Erin searched and confirmed the man's identity. She found it very strange that her company's clients were all high-ranking officials. Erin remembered the meaning of the string of numbers on her bag. It was very likely money. She immediately told Taos about this secret. Taos told Erin to pay attention to any strange people around her. He also told Erin not to tell anyone what she had just said. Seeing Taos so nervous, Erin also became afraid. Taos hung up and called Jiyeon to ask her to help confirm her boss's whereabouts. Then he called Erin again to ask if she had gotten into a taxi. Just then, a black car stopped beside Erin. Taos realized that Erin was in danger and panicked. He quickly ran to his secret base and changed into a handsome black suit. He then opened the door to the underground warehouse, which was filled with all kinds of weapons. Taos looked at the car's GPS to find the kidnapper's location. It turned out that he had secretly placed a GPS tracker in Erin's bag earlier. At this moment, Erin had already been taken to an abandoned warehouse by the kidnappers. Erin looked around helplessly and tried desperately to break free from the ropes, but it was all in vain. At that moment, she felt the fear of death. What would happen to her children if she died like this? Just then, she heard the sound of a door opening behind her. A man slowly walked towards Erin. When Erin looked up, she saw that it was her boss. The boss tore off the tape covering Erin's mouth and asked her why she looked so surprised. Erin asked her boss what she had done wrong. The boss moved a chair and sat down opposite Erin. He told Erin that the secret room was equipped with an alarm system. When Erin broke in that day, he had already seen everything clearly on his cell phone. Erin looked around and explained that she just wanted to know how much the bag she had destroyed was worth. She thought there would be a price tag or an entry and exit pass in the room, but the boss ignored her and said he didn't need compensation for the bag. The boss told Erin that she had better behave herself or she would be beaten. Erin hurriedly said that she would tell him the whole truth. The boss asked her why she took pictures of all the bags. Erin explained that she wanted to show them to her neighbor, who was knowledgeable about handbags, to ask about their prices. However, her neighbor said that he had never seen that brand of bag before, which was why she went into that room. The boss asked Erin if she had shown the pictures to her friends. Erin immediately denied it and said that all the photos were still on her USB flash drive. The boss emptied everything out of Erin's bag and found the USB drive she mentioned. He believed Erin wasn't lying and let his guard down. At that moment, Taos arrived at the warehouse in his car. As a top-notch agent, he quickly took down all the guards. Meanwhile, the boss was still questioning Erin inside the warehouse. Suddenly, a loud bang came from outside, startling the three of them. The boss immediately ordered the bodyguard beside him to go out and check the situation. The bodyguard, holding a stick, cautiously walked out. Seeing his fallen comrades lying on the ground, he was extremely nervous. The boss, seeing that no one was returning and that his calls were not answered, also began to panic. He quickly untied Erin and had her walk in front. Erin repeatedly insisted that she couldn't be injured, as she had children to take care of at home. Taos had already prepared for battle. Hearing the noise, he immediately hid on one side, but the person who came out of the door was Erin. She looked around and saw the group of bodyguards lying at the door. Frightened, she told the boss about the scene. The boss rushed out and got into his car at lightning speed. Erin immediately chased after him, begging the boss to take her back. She said that it was impossible to get a car in this place, but the boss ruthlessly told Erin to figure it out herself. He even fired Erin on the spot. Erin cursed the boss for being so heartless. In the end, she had no choice but to walk home alone, trembling with fear. The road was deserted, and even the branches of the trees by the side of the road made Erin jump in fright. Just as Erin was on the verge of despair, Taus's phone rang. Taus pretended not to know that Erin had been captured and asked her where she was and why she hadn't returned yet. But in fact, Taus was standing behind Erin, silently protecting her. Just as Erin was about to break down, a car appeared in front of her. Erin saw Taus and collapsed on the ground. Taus helped Erin up and asked her if she was okay. Erin pretended to be strong and said that she was just a little scared. Taus couldn't help but laugh and praised Erin for being so brave. On the way back, Erin sadly told Taus that she had been fired. Taus actually said that it was great news. Hearing this, Erin seemed a little unhappy. Not only did he not comfort her after she had been fired, he actually thought it was great news. Taus explained that she had said that the company was a little strange before. Erin then realized that the people at the company were a bunch of thugs. She had almost been beaten up with wooden sticks by them. Erin suddenly asked Taus why he had told her to watch out for strange people. She felt like Taus had known all along that she would be in danger. Taus was at a loss for words and couldn't explain why. Erin immediately asked him if he was psychic. Taus agreed and said that he could predict the future. Sure enough, women always have such vivid imaginations. Erin muttered to herself that Taus didn't seem like that kind of person at all. Taus told Erin again that she must not tell anyone about today's incident, or else something terrible would happen. When the two returned to the neighborhood, the director had been waiting downstairs for a long time. The director asked the panicked pair what had happened when they went out together. Erin denied everything and hurriedly explained that nothing had happened. The director was half believing, half doubting, and told Erin that the two children were already asleep. Erin and Taus each carried a child out. Looking at this harmonious scene, they looked just like a happy family of four. Erin asked Taus if he had fallen on hard times because he wanted to buy a luxury car. She immediately became worried. Now that she had been fired, she didn't have the money to hire Taus as a nanny. If Taus still wanted to repay his car loan, then she had to find a new job as soon as possible. Taus stood by silently, smiling secretly. At that moment, the boss was grabbing the bodyguard and asking if he had found out who attacked him yesterday. The bodyguard meekly replied that he hadn't. The boss immediately flew into a rage. There were surveillance cameras everywhere, and the bodyguard dared to lie. The bodyguard said tearfully that the boss had told him not to leave any evidence, so he had avoided the surveillance area. The boss was speechless upon hearing this. Taus took out a job posting and handed it to Erin. The boss of this new job was none other than Jiyeon. Jiyeon was surprised that Taus cared so much about Erin. Taus had no choice but to tell Jiyeon about how Erin's husband had been mistakenly killed by the hitman. Jiyeon was shocked to learn that Erin's husband was the witness Taus had mentioned. Taus instructed Jiyeon not to reveal this to Erin under any circumstances. At that moment, Erin arrived at the store to prepare for her interview. She politely introduced herself and talked about her previous work experience. She said with confidence that she was sure she could do the job. Jiyeon asked a few simple questions and told Erin to leave her contact information and wait for a response. In order to get the job, Erin talked about her previous job. Hearing this, Jiyeon became interested. Erin was very surprised that she was so curious about that company. She deliberately revealed that she had seen a serial number inside the bag. This made Jiyeon even more curious, and she asked Erin if she had any photos. Erin asked her if she had passed the interview. Seeing that Jiyeon didn't respond, she deliberately glanced at the time. She had another interview in a moment. If Jiyeon wasn't going to hire her, then she would leave. Jiyeon told her to come to work next week. Then she couldn't wait to ask Erin to show her the photo first. Erin asked Jiyeon if she would help her pay her social security. After getting an affirmative answer, Erin happily sat down. She excitedly searched for the photo on her phone and handed it to Jiyeon. Jiyeon looked at the photo with suspicion, but Erin asked her when she would sign the employment contract. Erin also told her neighbors about Taus' psychic abilities. The neighbors gathered together to discuss the matter. The director said that Taus had known in advance that Erin would be in danger. She also instructed everyone not to mention this matter to anyone. At that moment, the female neighbor recalled that Taus had previously taken Erin's child to visit all the neighbors' homes. Could Taus have used that as an excuse to check the feng shui or something? Soon, the three of them agreed to find a time to meet with Taus. At this moment, Taus was at home playing games with the two children. Erin ran in cheering and jumping, saying that she had been accepted. To celebrate this good news, she took the children and Taus out to eat. Taus took good care of the two children. The four of them were very happy, just like a family. After dinner, they went to the supermarket together. Taus quietly put the milk that the children liked into the basket. Erin, as someone who knows how to run a household, noticed a buy one get one free promotion and picked up an extra item for Taus. As they browsed, the two children noticed the fish in the aquarium. They quickly decided to ask their mother to buy it for them. Just then, Erin came over pushing the shopping cart. Erin looked at the fish and said that if they were going to buy the fish, they should also buy the aquarium. She lectured them earnestly that fish have a big home and that they wouldn't have anywhere to put them if they bought them. Unexpectedly, Lucy said that they could put them on her bed and she could sleep with her brother. Aaron obviously didn't agree to their unreasonable request. Tom then sat down on the floor and started acting like a spoiled child. Taus wanted to help the children buy the fish tank, but Aaron told him to shut up. Aaron wanted to pull her daughter away, but Lucy also sat down on the floor and started crying. Aaron naturally ignored their unreasonable request. She told them to stay here and turned to leave, but Taus, who was standing nearby, couldn't bear to watch. In the end, he indulged the children's wishes. He bought the fish tank and put it in his own home. Aaron told Taus not to spoil the two children so much. Taus stammered that he had always wanted to raise them. Aaron expressed her gratitude and timidly said that she would only come over to play occasionally in the future. She looked around and noticed that Taus's house was very clean and tidy. Aaron asked if he was enjoying the minimalist lifestyle. Taus stammered and couldn't explain why. Aaron began to look around Taus's house on her own. When she got to the kitchen, she was even more surprised and asked Taus if he usually cooked for himself at home. Just as the atmosphere grew a bit awkward, the children started making a commotion again. The two children said the house was very clean and they wanted to live here. Aaron couldn't stand it anymore and chased after the children, intending to give them a good scolding. Taus watched the three of them from a distance. The once cold and lifeless house was finally beginning to show signs of life. After Aaron and the children left, Taus stared at the fish tank for a long time. Since meeting Aaron's family, his life seemed to have undergone a fundamental change. Early the next morning, Aaron arrived at her new company. She greeted Junhee enthusiastically. Junhee glanced at the time and reminded Aaron not to come to work early last time. Aaron told Junhee that she came early to clean the shelves. Just then, a new customer came into the store. Aaron greeted him enthusiastically. Unexpectedly, Junhee acted indifferent. He told the customer to come back after 10 o'clock because the store wasn't open yet. Aaron saw that the customer was angry and was about to leave, so she immediately ran after him. She greeted him with a smile, took his bag, and asked him to try it on in the next room. After the customer left, Aaron continued to study the various arrangements of the bags in the store. There were few customers in the store, which made her feel a little headache. Junhee said that having few customers wouldn't affect his gaming. Aaron told him that he couldn't do his job like that when he was being paid by the boss. At that moment, Jiyeon found the director of the National Intelligence Service and handed him Aaron's information. She told the director that this was the information of the witness's wife. The director was very surprised and asked why she was looking for the witness and giving him the wife's information. Jiyeon explained that the witness had been killed, and they could see if they could find any useful clues from Aaron. The director didn't say much and instructed Jiyeon to keep this matter confidential. When the boss returned to the company, he formatted all of Aaron's computers, but while cleaning out her desk, he found Aaron's work memos. Aaron had written down all the things she liked to eat every day. The boss quickly made an appointment to meet with Aaron. He pretended to ask her if she got home safely last time. Aaron looked at the boss with contempt. The boss praised Aaron's abilities, saying that even if she were dropped on a desert island, she would be able to find her way home. Aaron heard this and wanted to eat the boss alive. The boss said he was willing to give her another chance to return to the company. Aaron immediately said that she had already found a new job. Upon hearing this, the boss immediately looked constipated. Taus was investigating information related to Aaron's previous company. Just then, the alarm suddenly went off. The three of them looked at the surveillance camera and were completely confused. The neighbors complained that Aaron's jobs were always unusual and her business wasn't doing well. This time, Aaron had brought them along for a difficult task. The manager picked up a stylish leather bag from the shelf and told Aaron to put it on. Then, the group began directing Aaron to strike various poses. They even used professional equipment to take photos of Aaron. Taus and the others grew increasingly confused, unsure of what they were doing. Soon, the manager joined in, preparing to take photos for Aaron's shop. After taking individual photos, they also used phone stands to take group photos. Then everyone posted the photos on social media. The next morning, King's handbag store was bustling with business. Customers kept pouring into the store. Aaron enthusiastically introduced the handbags. Jiyeon felt a bit worried seeing this. Junhee didn't want the business to be so good because it would affect his gaming. At that moment, the neighbors walked in together. Aaron introduced the store manager to the director. The male neighbor seemed to know Jiyeon. Jiyeon was a little afraid that her identity as a secret agent would be exposed. At this moment, Taus was sitting at the door of the store. He never expected Aaron to take her work so seriously. For a moment, Taos was extremely impressed with Aaron. He returned home to take care of the children. The two children stared at the fish in the fish tank and gave them names. Tom watched Taos name the best fish uncle. The sisters then happily sang a song. At that moment, Taos received a message from Gion. She told Taos that Aaron was truly amazing and had sold all the bags in the store. Taos couldn't help but smile with satisfaction. Lucy asked Taos why he was so happy. Taos asked them what their mother was best at. The two children said in unison that their mother was best at housework. Taos heard this and felt indescribable emotions. In the eyes of children, their mother may only be able to do housework, but at work, their mother was also a very capable woman. After putting the children to bed, Taos went downstairs to wait for Aaron to get off work. Just as he was about to leave, Aaron called him from the side. Aaron asked Taos if he was waiting for her on purpose. Taos made an excuse that he was just throwing out the trash. Aaron thanked Taos for his efforts during this time and gave him a gift. Taos opened it and found a beautiful leather wallet inside. Aaron had also put his salary for this month inside. She solemnly thanked Taos for taking such good care of the children. This allowed her to work outside the home. Although Taos was not good with words, he was very touched. The next day, the neighbors asked Taos to come out. Today, they all asked Taos to help them tell their fortunes. The male neighbor first took out his birth chart. He wanted Taos to help him see if his wife would get a promotion this year. Then the female neighbor took out a piece of paper and asked if she could have a second child this year. Taos had no idea why they were doing this. At this point, the director said that they had heard from Aaron that Taos could tell fortunes. Taos had no choice but to lie and tell them he would give them the answers in a few days. He went home and looked up the relevant information on his computer. He discovered that the location pointed to his own neighborhood. Taos suddenly realized something and rushed out. When he got to the door, Aaron had already sent the children to the school bus. Taos finally breathed a sigh of relief. But then he noticed the reflection on Aaron. He looked around and saw a window flashing upstairs. Taos instantly remembered the scene of his ex-girlfriend's murder. He charged forward and tackled Aaron to the ground. Everyone was stunned by the scene. Taos turned to look at the reflection on the window. It turned out to be a female neighbor upstairs holding a mirror to apply makeup. Once the neighbor finished using the mirror, the reflection disappeared instantly. Time seemed to freeze in that moment. Aaron stared at Taos with wide eyes, feeling incredibly embarrassed. She then wriggled her body out from under Taos. The neighbors immediately rushed over to ask what had happened. The female neighbor excitedly shouted that Taos had just looked like a superhero from a movie. The male neighbor was confused and asked Taos why he had run over. Taos immediately replied that he was afraid Aaron had been stung by a bee, so he had come over. After saying that, he made an excuse to go exercise and left. Just as Aaron was looking confused, the director called her over. The director said that they had to hold an emergency meeting. The three of them then took Aaron to the community activity room, looking as if they were interrogating a criminal. The director was the first to ask Aaron if she was dating Taos. Aaron immediately denied it, which made the director even more excited. If Miho didn't like you, why would he hug you and roll around on the ground? Aaron told the director that she actually thought Taos was a little strange. Faced with the neighbor's questions, Aaron was also confused. What kind of secret was Taos hiding behind his mask? After returning home, Taos was still immersed in the awkwardness of what had just happened, but the more he thought about it, the more he felt that something was wrong. He continued to study the information on his computer. Why did these coordinates suddenly appear in the community? At the same time, there was the same icon on the boss's computer as on Taos's computer. At this time, Aaron had already arrived at the store to work. Because of Aaron and the neighbor's publicity, all the bags in the store were sold out. Junhee looked like she had lost all will to live. She thanked Aaron for selling all the bags in the store. Aaron was very proud. She said she was just doing what she had to do. This way, the store manager could make money and she wouldn't get fired. However, Aaron didn't know that the store didn't actually make a living from selling bags. Jiyeon deliberately asked Aaron if the nanny she hired was trustworthy. Aaron praised Taos's ability to take care of children. Jiyeon quickly changed the subject and asked her to put the bags aside. But when Aaron was putting the bags away, she accidentally knocked over a photo under the shelf. And this photo was the switch to the secret room. Aaron was about to straighten the photo when Junhee rushed over in fear. Just as Jiyeon sighed in relief, Junhee began explaining the story behind the photo. Aaron started examining the photo closely. Jiyeon kept giving Junhee signals to shut up. Then Jiyeon pulled Aaron aside and asked her if she had seen any other leather bags with labels inside at Queen Company. Aaron asked Jiyeon why she was so interested in these serial numbers. Jiyeon made up an excuse that it was just her hobby and sent Aaron away to do her own work. Aaron ran after her and asked Jiyeon not to be angry. She also excitedly said that she had a new idea for promoting the store. Aaron proudly took out an eco-friendly bag and said that she could print the name of her store on it. Recently, due to environmental concerns. Everyone has started to reduce the use of disposable plastic bags. We can give one to every customer who comes to the store to buy a bag. Not only can we protect the environment together, but we can also advertise the store. Ji-yeon's head hurt when she heard this idea and told Aaron to hurry up and help buy lunch. Before long, the boss suddenly arrived at the store where Aaron was working. This scene was witnessed by the female neighbor. The female neighbor was very surprised to see Aaron's former boss suddenly appear in the area. At that moment, Ji-yeon also noticed the boss. She immediately told Taos the news. The female neighbor also shared the news that the boss had come to the store in the group chat. The director and the male neighbor both received the message. Aaron, who was buying lunch, saw the message and was so angry she clenched her teeth. The boss directly asked Aaron where she was. The female neighbor analyzed the situation in real time in the group chat. Taos also rushed back to the base and started listening in. Ji-yeon said that Aaron had to leave for a while. The boss treated the place as his own home and sat down on the sofa without hesitation. He asked Ji-yeon how much she paid Aaron per month. Ji-yeon said that it was confidential and she couldn't tell him. Everyone was extremely nervous. They all thought that the boss had found out about their hideout and had come to investigate. The boss even asked the meaning of the shop's name in a meaningful tone. This made Taos and the others even more nervous. The female neighbor then picked up her bag and introduced it to the boss. She then asked the boss if he was here for Aaron. The boss, afraid of losing face, immediately denied it. He then asked Junhee if Aaron would get a commission for every bag sold in the store. After receiving an affirmative answer, the boss immediately wanted to buy all the bags in the store. The female neighbor immediately sent this information to the group chat. The director and the male neighbor were shocked to hear the news. Aaron finally returned to the store at that moment. She took the boss to a coffee shop alone. She confronted him about why he bought all the bags in the store. The boss said he had decision-making disorder, so he bought them all. AI heard this explanation and was so angry she almost vomited blood. The other two groups fell into various suspicions. The special agent team in the store was holding an emergency meeting. Judging from the boss's recent actions, it was likely that he was trying to get close to Aaron. The neighbors also gathered together to discuss Aaron. The director thought that the boss must like Aaron. The female neighbor also deduced that the boss must have bought all the bags for this purpose. At this moment, the boss asked Aaron to get in the car with him. He said that he was still struggling with what to eat for lunch and that Aaron could give him some advice. Aaron was speechless. She had been fired for so long. Why should she care about his lunch? She pointed to a restaurant on the side of the road and said that it had everything he wanted to eat. After saying that, Aaron warned the boss not to come looking for her again, but she had only taken a few steps when the trunk of the boss's car opened. The boss generously let Aaron choose something to take. Aaron was about to give the boss a piece of her mind. Taos appeared in time to save the day and asked Aaron to accompany him for lunch. The boss didn't quite understand if it was now popular for nannies and employers to eat lunch together. Taos said that they occasionally had dinner together. Hearing this, the boss immediately decided to join them for lunch. Soon, the three of them arrived at the restaurant. Aaron absent-mindedly stirred her noodles. Looking at the two of them with a blank expression, Taos asked the boss why he had suddenly appeared here. If it was just to buy a few bags, it would be too strange to come here. The boss said he came specifically to see Aaron, because he was very curious as to why she refused to let him return to work. Aaron told him not to daydream and thoughtfully handed the noodles she had prepared for herself to Taos. The boss was immediately unhappy and asked her if she was treating him differently. Taos immediately transferred the noodles to the boss. The boss sarcastically said that Taos was indeed very talented at being a nanny. Taos immediately said that he was actually better at being the boss's secretary. The boss and Aaron were both taken aback. Taos smiled and explained that he was just joking. On this day, the neighborhood ladies sent a male neighbor to find out about Taos. Incheol asked him all the questions he could think of. Taos asked Incheol why he was asking him all these questions. Incheol teased Taos and Aaron, asking if they didn't feel dizzy rolling around on the ground. Taos remembered his conversation with Aaron that afternoon. Although Aaron didn't say much about what he had done, she reminded him to be careful of the neighborhood association members. Given their personalities, they would definitely launch a special investigation into Taos in the near future. Taos looked at Incheol and immediately stood up. The two of them then went to a toy store. Incheol was very surprised and asked him if he often came here. Taos explained that he came here to help the children buy toys. Incheol couldn't help but admire Taos for being such a responsible babysitter. After buying the toys, Taos took the children to the playground. They played on the merry-go-round, ate ice cream, and slid down the slide in various positions. Taos was like a big kid with the children. Incheol posted photos of them playing together. Just as he was staring at the photos with a silly smile on his face, Taos came over with something and asked Incheol to delete the photos. He also pushed the drink in front of Incheol. Taos said that he did all of this of his own free will and that Incheol shouldn't feel pressured. Then he asked Incheol why he was so curious about him. Incheol didn't expect Taos to discover his little thoughts so quickly. Taos also asked Incheol to tell him some secrets about the community organization. Incheol immediately showed his displeasure. Taos tried to explain that they just wanted to get closer to each other. In his opinion, the only way to maintain a relationship was through sharing secrets. Incheol thought Taos made a lot of sense. He was completely won over by Taos. That evening, Incheol found the director to report on the situation. After a day of investigation, he didn't find anything special about Taos. Taos went back and was so tired that he sat down on the sofa and dozed off. Tom rushed out and woke Taos up. He said that his sister looked a little strange and immediately pulled Taos into the room. At that moment, Lucy was lying on the bed, covered in sweat. Taos asked her if she was feeling unwell. Lucy said her stomach hurt very much, so Taos held Lucy in one arm and Tom in the other and rushed out of the house. They happened to run into Aaron, who was returning from work. Tom immediately threw himself into his mother's arms. Taos didn't have time to explain and rushed to the hospital with Lucy in his arms. After an examination, the doctor said the child was fine. Lucy hurriedly thanked the doctor obediently. Aaron and Taos sat together and chatted. She thanked Taos for taking care of the two children during this time. She also kindly asked Taos if he was tired from playing with the children all day, but Taos said it was okay. Aaron was a little puzzled as to why he always said it was okay. Taos reminded Aaron to be careful of her former boss. At the same time, Ji-yeon had just arrived home and noticed a strange man nearby. Ji-yeon walked to the elevator and glanced around. Once she confirmed the man's location on the upper floor, she immediately took a detour and approached him from behind, knocking him to the ground. Ji-yeon picked up the man's phone and discovered that the photos inside were of Aaron. She immediately called Taos and Junhee to the secret base. It turned out that during the recent investigation into Aaron by higher-ups, Ji-yeon had forged all of Aaron's information and handed it in. Moreover, she had written her own home address on the information, but Ji-yeon didn't expect that such a problem would arise in such a short period of time. Ji-yeon also told them that this was a confidential mission and that only the minister knew about it. Someone within the National Intelligence Service must have leaked the information. Taos also revealed the secret he had discovered about the tarot cards. He told them how he had been framed and forced to flee. At that time, Taos had taken a clover button from the killer. After he was treated, his former leader secretly transferred him to a secret base. However, Woo Mik-young tortured Taos and forced him to confess to all his crimes. Taos accidentally discovered that Woo Mik-young was wearing the same clover button. After successfully escaping, he began his journey on the run. He followed the trail and discovered the source of the button. He analyzed that the person who killed his ex-girlfriend and the security minister must be from the same organization. Junhee said that starting today, he would search for clues about everyone in the neighborhood and then start investigating them one by one. At this moment, Woo Mik-young learned from his subordinates that Aaron's information was false, and he was furious. But she was also puzzled as to why Ji-yeon would give the minister false information. After discussing with Taos, Ji-yeon asked Aaron to leave work early. Aaron, not understanding why, praised Ji-yeon for being a kind boss. Just then, Aaron's phone rang. She reluctantly answered the call and went to a coffee shop. It was her boss asking to meet her. Aaron told him that it wasn't important and left. The boss said narcissistically that he was an extraordinary person, and that his intuition was very sharp. Not long ago, someone caught his attention. The boss then told Aaron everything Taos had done in the past. Aaron was very surprised to hear this. The boss said that he didn't want to meddle in other people's business, but since Aaron was his former employee, he secretly investigated her. The boss took out a file folder and handed it to Aaron. Aaron opened it and found a lease agreement with Taos's name on it. She couldn't believe it and walked home in a daze. No matter how she thought about it, she couldn't believe that Taos would do such a thing. At that moment, Taos was sitting at home waiting for Aaron to return. Aaron came home and stared at Taos's face without saying a word. Taos thought there was something on his face. Aaron still didn't ask Taos about his true identity. Instead, she apologized to Taos for coming home so late. Taos was a little confused, but he didn't ask too many questions. Then he picked up the gift box he had prepared on the table. Aaron opened the box and found the non-sale bag that had been lost in her store. At that time, Junhee said that a thief had broken into the store, which was why they had installed so many cameras and alarms. Aaron also began to suspect Taos' identity. She then called out Taos' former name. Taos was about to explain, But his phone rang. The caller was Aaron's new boss. Aaron couldn't help but question Tao's true identity. Taos explained that there might be some misunderstanding, but Aaron was very confused. She didn't know whether she should believe Tao's explanation. Taos arrived at the secret base feeling lost. Ji-yeon looked at the lonely Taos and was very curious about what had just happened to him. Taos told Ji-yeon that Aaron had discovered his fake identity, but because of his current situation, he couldn't reveal his true identity. Both of them were very confused as to how Aaron found out. Ji-yeon comforted Taos, saying that such situations were inevitable in their line of work. Taos sighed heavily and lay down on the sofa to rest. Ji-yeon reminded Taos not to forget what had happened earlier. If Taos became emotionally involved with a woman again, both parties would be hurt. Ji-yeon grew more and more agitated, but Taos remained unmoved. The two eventually parted on bad terms. After a while, Taos thought about the little things he had done with his ex-girlfriend. They had been so happy back then, but in the end, he couldn't protect her because of Aaron and the children. Taos's home had gone from being cold and empty to being full of life. Tom would build a little train at home, and Lucy would bring all kinds of dolls to give to Taos. Taos lay on the living room floor, feeling both happy and heartbroken. He wished this life could continue forever. At that moment, Aaron was sitting on the sofa, unable to sleep. She quietly went to the front door to listen to the sounds outside, but there was no sound at all. Aaron could only return to her room, feeling disappointed. In the morning, the principal discussed the children's spring outing with Aaron. She asked Aaron what she was going to make for the two children's lunch. Aaron hoped that the director could help her find someone else to pick up the children from school. The director asked her if Taos had quit his job. Aaron didn't say much, just asked the director to keep an eye out for a new nanny. Aaron then went to work at the store. Ji-yeon explained what happened yesterday and said that Taos didn't mean to deceive her. Aaron recalled what Taos said to her yesterday. At that moment, Ji-yeon asked Aaron if she was going to quit her job. The principal also called the neighbors together for a meeting. She told them that Aaron was planning to fire Taos. The female neighbor was very surprised. They weren't already living together? It turned out that the female neighbor's sister-in-law was living downstairs from Taos. She said that it used to be very quiet upstairs, but for the past few days, there had been constant noise. Her sister-in-law was angry because of the noise and came upstairs, but she happened to see Aaron's two children coming out of Taos's house. Incheol said that the children must have just been playing there and that there was no need to make a big deal out of it. The female neighbor wondered if Aaron's husband had been killed by Taos. At this moment, Aaron also found Taos. She said that she had thought long and hard before making this decision, although she really wanted to believe Taos. But after talking with Ji-yeon that morning, she couldn't bring herself to believe him anymore. The next day, Woo Mik-young found Aaron and invited her to work at her company. Her goal was to get information from Aaron, but Aaron completely ignored her questions. She began to ask Woo Mik-young about the job and salary. Seeing that it was difficult to get any useful information, Woo Mik-young pretended to take a phone call. She made an excuse that she had something urgent to attend to and wanted to leave immediately. Aaron called her back to confirm that the number on her business card was correct. After receiving a positive response, Aaron warmly saw Woo Mik-young off. Just then, Taos also arrived at the store entrance. He hid nearby, waiting for his chance. This scene was also witnessed by Aaron. Aaron was very surprised by Taos' sudden appearance. She immediately followed Taos, but when they reached the corner, Taos suddenly disappeared. Taos had already entered the secret base through the back door. He called Junhee to ask for his location. Junhee said that he had returned to the store, and that Ji-yeon was on her way back. He also said that he would let Aaron leave work early and close the store early today. But as soon as he hung up, Aaron appeared behind him. Aaron asked Junhee who he was talking to. Junhee said that it had nothing to do with Aaron. Aaron became suspicious and went back to where Taos had disappeared, but she couldn't find Taos anywhere. Then Aaron noticed an envelope in the mailbox addressed to the store. When she saw the electricity bill inside, she was stunned. Aaron hurried to the manager's house and told him what had happened. The manager told her that the woman who came that afternoon was very strange. She was very curious about Aaron's husband's death. She called the number she found online, but no one answered. Most importantly, the company the other party mentioned did not exist. Aaron was confused about the identity of the other party. That night, the two children asked Aaron if Uncle Taos had quit his job. Aaron made the excuse that Taos was busy with work, but the two children said that Uncle Taos had been at home the whole time. They had even gone to his house to play for a while that afternoon. After putting the children to bed, Aaron sat alone in the living room. She looked at the bag Taos had given her and went over everything that had happened. Taos always appeared when she was in danger. Aaron realized that Taos might have come to protect her after her husband's death. She wondered if the call Junhee had made that afternoon was related to Taos. If so, The three of them must be working together. It must be said that Aaron's reasoning ability was too strong. The three people in the secret room were also discussing today's events. Ji-yeon had confirmed that the information she had given to the minister earlier must have been secretly viewed by Woo Mik-young. She told Taos not to come here for the time being. Otherwise he might be exposed. But Taos began to worry that Woo Mik-young had found Aaron. Then Aaron would likely be involved. Ji-yeon told Taos not to worry. She would fire Aaron soon. At this moment, Taos took out the business card his boss had given him and asked Junhee to check the fingerprints. Junhee was very confused as to why they were suddenly investigating this person. Taos said he wanted his boss to join them. From his observation, it seemed that his boss might also be living a double life like him. Aaron deduced from the high electricity bill that the store must be hiding a secret, so she waited outside the store after work. Aaron saw Ji-yeon return to the store and secretly stuck tape on the door, but it was already deep into the night, and the tape was still intact. This proved that neither Ji-yeon nor Junhee had left. If no one came out, there must be another space inside the store. Aaron took out the spare key and opened the door, but what she didn't know was that the alarm had already gone off in the secret room. Before anyone could react, Aaron secretly pulled the store's circuit breaker. Aaron followed the fluorescent footprints on the ground step by step until they disappeared. This was the corner of the wall, and there was a painting hanging on it. Aaron remembered Junhee mentioning that there was a path behind the painting. She looked at the hidden door in front of her with fear and hesitantly walked down. Aaron heard a familiar voice inside and gathered her courage to push the door open and walk in. But what she saw next left her speechless. Aaron looked around the room. Taos, afraid she would expose important clues about the base, rushed over and hugged her. Aaron immediately screamed and demanded to know what Taos was doing. Junhee took the opportunity to pick up the photos on the table. Then they asked Aaron if she had found the secret base through the electricity bill. Aaron silently nodded and told them everything she had done. Junhee praised Aaron for being so clever. Ji-yeon told Junhee that at this point, simply firing Aaron was not enough. She wanted Aaron to sign a confidentiality agreement before leaving. At this moment, Aaron and Taos were sitting on the sofa. Aaron finally breathed a sigh of relief. She was finally certain that Taos wasn't a bad person. But Taos looked at his watch with pride. Just 14 hours ago, Aaron said she didn't believe him and even fired him. Aaron explained that it was because Ji-yeon had said some strange things to her. Taos also told Aaron the truth. He said that this place was a secret operation base for the National Intelligence Service. Aaron excitedly asked what kind of operation it was, but Taos couldn't say any more because it was classified. He also warned Aaron not to tell anyone about the secret of this shop. Aaron promised that she would not tell anyone. She tentatively asked Taos if he had other intentions in helping her take care of the children. Taos said that he did at first, but not anymore. In the secret room, Ji-yeon watched the two on the surveillance camera with a confused look on her face. She really wanted to know what they were talking about. At that moment, Junhee took out a remote control and the conversation between the two was immediately broadcast live. Aaron asked Taos if she could continue working there, no matter what the purpose of this place was. Her work was the same to her, but Taos refused because Aaron was in danger here at any moment. Aaron asked if it was because of Taehwan's death. Taos suddenly stood up and told Aaron to leave. Aaron also realized that she might have said the wrong thing, but this conversation had already been heard clearly by Ji-yeon and Junhee. They also found out that besides Miho, Aaron was the other witness. Taos once again told Aaron not to mention what had just happened to Ji-yeon and Junhee. Aaron was curious why they couldn't talk about it since they were all on the same side. Taos said that even among partners, information couldn't be shared. Aaron then asked Taos why he used a fake name to rent the house. Taos hesitated for a moment but then told Aaron that it was because he was a fugitive. He said he would tell Aaron the reason why when the time was right. The next day, the boss came to the store again. He asked Junhee to help him carry his bag. Then he stared at Junhee's back, carefully analyzing his physique. After paying, the boss made an excuse that he would come back often, but as soon as he left the store, he threw the bag he had just bought on the ground. Then he called his men to investigate Junhee. Yesterday, Junhee came to Queen Company alone. He wanted to steal information while no one was around, but just as he was about to leave, the driver came back. Junhee saw the driver and immediately ran away. The driver saw him and reported it to the boss, although he thought it might just be a thief. The boss panicked. The surveillance footage in the hallway had been deleted, so the person must not be an ordinary thief. In order to find out the truth, the boss retrieved the elevator surveillance footage. Although his face was not visible, his back looked very familiar to the boss. Through his recent contact with Junhee, he also guessed what was going on. At this moment, Ji-yeon wanted to ask Erin if she could continue working at the store. Erin was very surprised because Taos had told her yesterday that she couldn't stay here, but Ji-yeon said that she was the owner and manager of the store. Erin was extremely grateful that she wouldn't have to find a new job. However, Ji-yeon asked Erin to help her as a witness at a critical moment. Erin suddenly became hesitant. Ji-yeon saw her concerns and promised to provide her with special protection. She also told Erin the inside story of Queen Company. Ji-yeon even suggested that Erin become her informant and help her gather information about Queen Company. At this point, Erin deliberately showed a look of difficulty. Ji-yeon immediately said she would give her a raise. She also asked Erin if she could drive. Erin immediately said she could, but when she got home, she remembered that she hadn't driven in years. Just as she was feeling down, she suddenly remembered something. Erin sent a message hoping to get Taos help, but just as Taos arrived, Erin's car was towed away. Taos generously let Erin use his car to practice driving. Erin confidently promised that she would take good care of the car. She also emphasized that she had very good driving genes, but at this moment, Taos had no idea that letting Erin drive was a mistake. Erin began to confirm the locations of the accelerator and brake pedals. Then she asked Taos to sit down and started the car. As a result, she stepped on the accelerator before shifting into gear. Taos reminded her that the car had to be in drive before it could move. Erin finally managed to get the car on the road, but she couldn't tell the difference between the left and right turn signals. Taos was speechless and impatiently corrected Erin's mistakes. Erin asked him to speak more gently. Taos grabbed the handle on the passenger side. He was too scared. He told Erin to get off the highway at the next exit, but Erin told Taos not to worry, and then she drove the wrong way. After an afternoon of turmoil, Erin successfully drove off the highway. During a break, Taos asked Erin why she suddenly wanted to learn to drive. Erin had no choice but to tell Taos about the task Ji-yeon had given her. Taos immediately called Ji-yeon and scolded her for involving innocent people in their plan. Ji-yeon explained that she needed Erin's help, and that Erin was capable of completing the task. Taos said that Erin had suffered enough and couldn't be taken advantage of anymore. Erin walked over and said that Taos was the one who had really suffered. Taos couldn't even rent a house or get a phone number in his own name. Erin said that she would definitely protect Taos. Taos was very moved to hear someone say they would protect him. Soon, Erin got to work. She reported everything she had observed around the store to Ji-yeon. Junhee couldn't stop praising Erin's outstanding performance. The neighbors waited for the children to get out of school as usual. Taos returned to his babysitting job, making a bold entrance with sunglasses on. His return attracted the intense gaze of the older women. The female neighbors even felt there was a special scent in the air. Soon, the school bus arrived. Lucy and Tom were overjoyed to see their uncle and rushed toward him. Taos picked them up, one in each arm. Everyone looked on with envy as the three of them happily walked away. Taos and the children started a new happy life. He had the two children race to see who could clean up their toys faster. After they finished, the three of them sat on the floor together, watching TV and eating ice cream. The children even went to Taos's house to feed the fish. At that moment, Erin was on her way home from work, but halfway there, she noticed that someone seemed to be following her. Erin began to quicken her pace and felt that the person behind her was catching up. Frightened, she ran straight into a convenience store that was still open. She hid behind a shelf and took out her cell phone to call Taos. Just as she stood up, Taos appeared behind her. Taos praised Erin for doing a good job. Realizing that someone was following her, she ran faster than a rabbit. He told Erin to pick anything she wanted to eat as a reward. Taos asked Erin if her former boss had contacted her recently. Erin also found it very strange that she hadn't heard anything from him in a while. At that moment, the boss was staring at Ji-yeon and Junhee's files. Through his previous inquiries and investigations, the boss had also discovered the true identities of the two agents. Taos returned to the base and was analyzing the boss's real information. Sure enough, the boss was also using a fake name. What's even more terrifying is that his entire face had been completely reconstructed through plastic surgery. As the female neighbor had mentioned, Taos speculated that there must be someone behind him giving orders. He stated that he would personally go to meet the boss tomorrow. However, Ji-yeon believed that going through Erin would be safer. Erin was actually more capable than they had imagined. At that moment, a mysterious person called, claiming that Queen Company had been exposed. The next day, assassins appeared inside Queen Company. He destroyed all the documents in the office and reformatted the computers. Then he pulled out a gun and walked to the door, ready to act. At that moment, the boss had also arrived at the office door. Seeing the mess on the ground, he instantly understood something. The assassin also opened the door and walked out. The boss immediately ran out, fearfully pushing everyone aside and entering the elevator. Fortunately, the elevator doors closed just in time. After escaping, The boss got into a taxi on the side of the road and successfully escaped. The assassin called the mysterious person to report the situation. When he returned to the office, he found that all the briefcases had been switched. The boss, who was on the run, went to the bank to withdraw money to save his life. However, the bank manager said that there was a problem with the safe and that he would have to wait for more than 10 minutes. The boss realized that they might be working together, so he didn't stay and left immediately. As soon as he came out, the boss received a call from the driver. At this point, the driver had already been taken hostage by the killer. He shouted, asking for the boss's location, but the boss on the other end of the phone did not respond. He threw the phone away and took another taxi. Not long after, the boss saw Aaron walking back and forth on the side of the road. He asked the driver to pull over and pretended to be calm as he greeted Aaron. The boss invited Aaron to have a cup of tea with him. Aaron remembered that Ji-yeon had told her that it would be best to get along well with the boss. Ji-yeon was a little worried that Aaron hadn't returned. This had never happened before. Just then, Aaron's phone rang, but it was the boss on the other end. The boss explained his situation. Ji-yeon calmed the boss down and promised to protect him, but the boss didn't think they could be trusted. He threatened Ji-yeon to go to his company within an hour and retrieve the hourglass. If she didn't get it in an hour, he would kill Aaron. He then took a photo of Aaron being kidnapped and sent it over. Ji-yeon panicked and immediately called Taos. Taos quickly prepared his weapons, got into his sports car, and headed to Queen Company. However, as soon as he arrived at the lobby, he was spotted by people arranged by Woo Mik-young. Upon hearing the news, Woo Mik-young immediately dispatched all his men to the location. At this time, Taos had already arrived at the office, but the assassin had already left. Taos found the hourglass the boss had mentioned amid the chaos, but then he suddenly received a call from Junhee. The person on the other end of the line panicked and told Taos to leave immediately. As soon as Taos ran out, the people tracking him had already arrived at the door, so he could only run in the opposite direction. Facing the pursuit, Taos jumped down the stairs. He managed to escape the pursuit on the stairs but couldn't avoid the ambush in the corridor. Taos quickly knocked everyone to the ground. He then rushed back to his car, but the people behind him were still hot on his heels. As soon as Taos exited the garage, he collided head-on with Woo Mik-young's car. Woo Mik-young ordered the driver to give chase while arranging for people to track Taos's location in real time. Then, a fast and furious chase began, but Taos was alone, with more than a dozen cars following behind him. Taos had no way of shaking them off. When he got on the bridge, he found that he was completely trapped. The road ahead had already been blocked by the National Intelligence Service. With no way out, Taos had no choice but to take the hourglass and get out of the car. After fleeing for so long, Taos finally faced Woo Mik-young head-on. Just then, an assassin's figure suddenly appeared among the National Intelligence Service agents. As Woo Mik-young ordered his men to arrest Taos immediately, Taos noticed the gun-wielding assassin. He ran to the side and jumped off the bridge. At that moment, a car suddenly stopped by the riverbank. The people who got out were Aaron and Ji-yeon. It turned out that when Taos went to Queen Company, Junhee and Ji-yeon quickly determined Aaron's location through the photos sent by their boss. Aaron, who had been knocked unconscious by their boss, finally woke up. The boss told Aaron not to get too excited and that he would let her go once he got what he wanted. But in the next second, Ji-yeon appeared behind the boss with a gun. The boss was a little at a loss and wanted to take the opportunity to escape, but he didn't get very far before Ji-yeon kicked him to the ground. Ji-yeon then learned Taos's location from Junhee. They finally made it to the bridge, but found that Taos had already jumped into the river. Woo Mik-young immediately ordered his men to search for Taos. Aaron also drove the car to the riverbank as quickly as possible. The boss watched the two run away, took the handcuff keys out of his pocket, and ran away. At this moment, Aaron dived into the river. She looked just like a mermaid, searching everywhere for Taos. Soon, Aaron brought Taos back to her home. The others also found a private doctor to treat Taos. The doctor said that the bullet did not hit any vital organs and that he just needed to rest for a while. Ji-yeon then took the hourglass back from the children's hands. The children were very well behaved and asked about Uncle Taos's condition. They ran into the room and sat beside him to keep him company. Aaron told the children not to wander around the house and that she would be back soon. Tom then helped Taos massage his arm. Lucy pretended to listen to Taos's heartbeat with a stethoscope. Just then, the doorbell rang. They all thought it was their mother returning. Lucy asked her brother to watch over Uncle Taos in the room while she went out to check, but she didn't open the door directly. Instead, she demanded to know who it was. Woo Mik-young immediately lied, claiming to be Aaron's friend, and tricked Lucy into opening the door. Fortunately, Aaron returned home at that moment. When she saw the two suspicious figures at the door, she was startled. She remained strong and composed. Pretending to ask Woo Mikyoung why he was there, Woo Mikyoung immediately asked Erin if she knew Taos. Erin was a little startled but didn't admit it. Unexpectedly, Woo Mikyoung directly threatened Erin. If she lied, she might get hurt. Erin remained unfazed by the threat and told Woo Mikyoung to leave immediately. But Woo Mikyoung didn't budge and continued to stare at Erin as she entered the password. Erin watched Woo Mikyoung walk into the elevator and glared at her as she left. As soon as Woo Mikyoung left, Erin's legs gave way, and she collapsed onto the ground. Taos heard the footsteps leaving. Taos also sighed in relief upon hearing the footsteps. Moments later, Erin opened the door and walked in, but she was startled by Taos, who was covered in stickers. She quickly stood up and asked Taos how he was feeling. After returning to his room, Taos called Jiyeon to ask her if she had taken the hourglass. Jiyeon told him that there was a hollow space in the hourglass for a USB flash drive, but there was nothing inside. Taos told Jiyeon that when he jumped off the bridge, the assassin was hiding among Woo Mikyoung's people. He was certain that the assassin and the National Intelligence Service were connected. Taos thanked Jiyeon for saving him, but Jiyeon told Taos that she wasn't the one who saved him. Taos then thanked Erin for saving him. At that moment, the children thoughtfully handed Taos some water and seaweed. Taos was very moved. With Erin and the children by his side, he didn't feel so alone anymore. After a while, he got up and said he wanted to go home, but Erin stopped him, saying that he must not leave her until he had fully recovered. Her mission this week was to take good care of Taos. Taos felt that he was fine now and insisted on going home. At this moment, the two children immediately ran to their rooms to pack their bags. Erin also ordered Taos to put on his shoes. After returning to Taos's home, the two children immediately started playing with toys in the living room. Erin was in the kitchen with a rice cooker, smiling at herself. Taos looked at everything in front of him and felt like he was dreaming. Erin thoughtfully supervised Taos as he took his medicine and even gave him a hand drum. After she left, Taos gently placed it on his bedside table, afraid that it would make a sound. The next morning, the two children obediently said goodbye to their uncle and got ready for kindergarten. Taos asked them to kiss him on the nose. Just as he was about to kiss Erin, he immediately backed away. At that moment, the air was filled with an awkward atmosphere. Erin told Taos to get some rest and that she would be back soon. When Erin returned home with groceries and was cleaning the refrigerator, she noticed a note left by Taos. Taos needed to leave for a while and asked Erin to take care of the two children herself. Erin felt lost because Taos had left without saying goodbye. She went to Taos's house and saw that the living room had been tidied up neatly. She then went to the bedroom. That's when she realized that Taos hadn't even taken his phone. She immediately went to the store and told Jiyeon that Taos had left. Jiyeon thought that Taos was afraid that his presence would put Erin and the children in danger. She told Erin about Taos's ex-girlfriend. Taos always felt that he was responsible for his ex-girlfriend's death. If he hadn't brought that woman into his life, she wouldn't have been hurt because of him. Jiyeon told Erin that Taos had been living with guilt. Now, Erin and the children were equally important to Taos. At that moment, Taos arrived at his secret base. He brought with him the hand drum Erin had given him and the portrait Lucy had given him. These were the only things he cared about. The reason he left was exactly as Jiyeon had said. Early this morning, Taos noticed several suspicious men in black downstairs. After putting the children to bed, Erin sat on the sofa worrying about Taos. When dawn broke, Erin went to the bag by the door as usual to get milk, but she found a piece of candy inside. Erin knew Taos had been there. She quickly ran out but didn't see Taos anywhere. In order to let Taos know that she had received the message, she left a sticky note and some supplements in the bag at her door. So, every day after that, the two kept in touch this way. That day, Taos heard the news about his boss on the radio. His boss was being hunted down for killing his driver. Erin and the others also saw the news. Junhee decided that since there was a wanted notice, it proved that the boss was still alive. They had to protect the boss before anyone else did. Erin had just left work and taken a few steps when a strange figure appeared behind her. She quickened her pace, but suddenly someone pulled her into an alley. The person following her was the boss. Erin was very surprised, but before she could say anything, the boss knelt down on the ground. The boss apologized to Erin for what he had done. He explained that he had been framed and hoped that Erin could help him. Erin asked him to go with her to the bag shop, but the boss said that he only trusted Taos now. He asked Erin if she could contact Taos. Erin looked troubled. She could contact Taos, but she would have to wait until tomorrow. The boss seemed to have found a lifeline. He took out a note and asked Erin to give it to Taos, then hurriedly prepared to leave. Erin took out her wallet and gave the boss some money to buy something to eat and take care of himself. The boss was very moved that Erin had done that for him after what he had done to her. Erin was willing to forgive him. She really wasn't a bad person. When Erin got home, She put the note in the milk carton. Taos also got the information. The boss asked Taos to meet him alone at the phone booth in the park at 10 p.m. The boss arrived early and waited anxiously at the agreed location. After hesitating, he walked to the phone booth and dialed Aaron's number. The boss was so scared that he kept asking Aaron what time it was. When he found out that there were only 3 minutes left until the appointed time, he asked Aaron not to hang up and to stay on the phone with him. Aaron comforted the boss, telling him not to be afraid and to wait for Taos. Just then, a security guard walked towards the boss. The boss deliberately lowered his head to avoid being recognized. But in the next second, the security guard turned into a killer. The boss watched the killer walk away casually and collapsed on the ground. Thinking back on his life, 2 years ago, he was a fraudster who caused a sensation across the country. Later, he was used by a gang. The gang gave the boss a complete makeover, including plastic surgery, and gave him a new identity. They asked the boss to secretly help them with some bribery and errands. When the gang found out that Jiyeon and the others had discovered their secret, they decided to kill the boss. Just when the boss thought he was about to die, Taos arrived at the meeting place in time. The boss pulled Taos and begged him to save him. Taos took the boss to Jiyeon's brother's obstetrics and gynecology hospital. Fortunately, the boss only lost a lot of blood and was not seriously injured. The doctor told Taos that he had already arranged for the innermost ward to be cleared so that no one would disturb them. At this moment, the boss was lying on the hospital bed in a small skirt. Resting, Taos stayed by his side. When the boss woke up and saw what he was wearing, he was shocked. Taos went outside to get some water for the boss. The old lady kept asking Taos about his wife and child. Taos listened and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. When he returned to the hospital room, Taos took good care of the boss. He also asked the boss what he had wanted to tell him yesterday. The boss said he hoped that Taos, who was also on the run, could protect him. Taos wanted to know who was behind the boss. The boss asked Taos to help him forge an identity and escape to a new place. Just then, the doctor came in to treat the boss's wounds. Taos took this opportunity to teach the boss a lesson. As soon as he left the hospital room, he heard a scream. Then he heard the sound of a camera clicking. Taos was instantly alert. Had his whereabouts been exposed? He immediately ran to check, but didn't find anything unusual. At the same time, an elderly woman wearing glasses in the neighborhood also noticed several suspicious men downstairs. She immediately shared this important information in the community group. Soon, everyone received the message. The director didn't hesitate and led several people to the scene of the incident. Before she could say anything, the man sitting on the other side suddenly ran away. The director immediately became suspicious and told the two women to chase after him. Then she questioned the man in front of her about why he was always here. The man didn't say a word and just stood up and ran away. Soon, the news reached Woo Mikyoung's ears. Her subordinates referred to the group of elderly women as mom police, which was indeed an existing organization. At that moment, the director arrived at a handbag store to buy a bag. Just then, their organization sent another message. Everyone took out their phones to check. The big news this time was that Taos had been secretly photographed at a maternity hospital. The group said that Taos had given birth to a son at the hospital. Upon learning Taos' location, Aaron and Jiyeon rushed out immediately. The two quickly drove to the hospital. Seeing Taos and the boss in a harmonious state, they both sighed in relief. Soon, Jiyeon and Taos began interrogating the boss together. The boss revealed everything he knew. Jiyeon asked him who the female messenger in the tarot card represented. The boss asked Jiyeon to give him the hourglass. However, they did not find the USB flash drive in the hourglass. They concluded that someone must have gotten there first. Unexpectedly, Lucy had taken the USB flash drive and was playing with it. Lucy was showing off her new toy to her friends. That day, a group of children were attending a health lecture in the auditorium. However, no one present knew that a terrifying terrorist attack was about to occur at that location. Aaron and Taos, upon hearing the news, rushed toward the auditorium without delay. Meanwhile, inside the auditorium, a woman claiming to be an American headhunter was acting suspiciously. After receiving the signal that everything was ready, she quickly left the premises. On stage, the principal was leading the children in a hand-washing exercise. Just then, the assistant received a call from Jiyeon. Jiyeon revealed her identity as a secret agent and told them about the terrorist attack. At this moment, the director also received a message from Aaron. She saw that something was wrong with the minister on stage and quickly organized an evacuation plan. The director asked Incheol to sound the alarm bell nearby. Then she stood up and told everyone to take care of the children and leave one by one from the back. Everyone began to evacuate. The woman who had just left also panicked when she heard the alarm. She rushed back and bumped into the children who were retreating in panic. Just as everyone was almost evacuated, the woman approached the minister step by step. In no time, she knocked down the people around the minister. At the critical moment, Ji-yeon kicked the woman to the ground. The minister took advantage of this opportunity to escape quickly. However, the two were evenly matched, and after several rounds of fighting, Ji-yeon was starting to tire. The woman ran out to continue attacking the minister. Ji-yeon arrived in time and restrained her with handcuffs. Meanwhile, Taos had also arrived at the air conditioning room where the weapons were hidden. He put on his communication glasses and discussed the bomb disposal method with Junhee. Junhee asked Taos why he chose the green wire. Taos replied that it was Lucy's favorite color. Soon, the police arrived and the criminals were successfully apprehended. However, just as they were preparing to leave, gunfire erupted. The female neighbor's husband and the woman were instantly killed by the assassin. Ji-yeon had hoped to interrogate the two and get some information, but her plan failed again. After completing the mission, Taos found Aaron and the two children. He was concerned about their safety and came to check on them. The children were overjoyed to see their uncle. They pulled at Taos and invited him to stay with them. However, Taos had a difficult task ahead of him. After reassuring the children, he prepared to leave. The children asked Taos to kiss them on the nose before leaving. This time, Taos also kissed Aaron on the nose. When he left casually, Aaron was left behind with her heart pounding. Taos then took his boss to his secret base. His current mission was to protect his boss. However, his boss was cunning and afraid of death. He refused to reveal the location of the hidden bag. Just then, Aaron called. Aaron asked Taos if he had eaten properly and if he was feeling well. The boss, seeing the affectionate pair, grew jealous. He deliberately picked up a toy next to him and made a noise. Taos had no choice but to reluctantly hang up Aaron's call. Woo Mik-young was still searching for Taos' whereabouts. The subordinates discovered that Ji-yeon had been in frequent contact with a man named Zhang Nan. After investigating, they found out that Zhang Nan was living across the street from Aaron's house. Woo Mik-young immediately realized something. She rushed to Taos' house with her subordinates to search, but the large room was empty. At that moment, Woo Mik-young saw the pile of toys in Taos' living room. She instantly realized that she had been deceived by Aaron last time. When Aaron returned and saw the door to Taos' house wide open, she was puzzled. She nervously walked into Taos' house and happened to meet Woo Mik-young's gaze. Woo Mik-young asked Aaron why she had deceived her last time. Then she ordered her men to tie Aaron up. Taos was panicked when he heard the news. In the end, he had put Aaron in danger. The director of the National Intelligence Service came to the office to negotiate with Woo Mik-young. But Woo Mik-young said that Aaron was harboring a criminal and that she had not arrested an innocent citizen. She proposed that Taos turn himself in exchange for Aaron's release. With no other choice, Taos called Ji-yeon and told her that he wanted to use the death agreement. Ji-yeon immediately relayed this message to the director, hoping that he could help carry out the plan. The next day, Taos showed up at the National Intelligence Service on time. A group of armed men surrounded Taos. The director and Ji-yeon also came out from a distance. Taos kept asking the director about Aaron's safety. The director told Taos to take care of himself. He didn't know what Woo Mik-young would do. Ji-yeon handcuffed Taos and took him to the door. At that moment, Woo Mik-young also emerged with Aaron. Woo Mik-young was triumphant. Her scheme had finally succeeded. Aaron was deeply concerned about Taos' safety. Taos had risked his life to save her, and she felt terribly guilty. Aaron walked home uneasily, and Ji-yeon ran over to stop her. Ji-yeon told Aaron not to worry too much. Taos would definitely return safely. The next day, Taos was escorted to a police car. In fact, on the day he turned himself in, the director and Ji-yeon had already planned his escape route. Taos was full of confidence. He knew that if he didn't die, Woo Mik-young would never give up. Once the car was on the road, Taos used his keen sense of direction to figure out the escape route. Ji-yeon was sitting in the same car as Woo Mik-young. As they neared the escape location, Woo Mik-young sent a message. Ji-yeon was puzzled. Soon after, the police car carrying Taos came to a stop, but Taos realized this wasn't the agreed-upon location. Ji-yeon panicked and demanded to know why Woo Mik-young had stopped. Before Woo Mik-young could answer, an explosion erupted outside. Ji-yeon ran out of the car to check the situation. She couldn't believe that such a thing had happened. She screamed frantically as the fire grew larger and larger. At that moment, Aaron's two children also arrived at Taos' house to look at the goldfish. They saw that the fish named Uncle in the fish tank had stopped breathing and immediately burst into tears. Aaron saw this and felt very uneasy. This was a bad omen. The next day, the children buried the goldfish named Uncle in the community garden. Lucy took out her favorite stickers and stuck them in the soil. Tom also took out some gummy bears and piled them on top. Aaron was very comforted. She could only pray that nothing would happen to Taos. Soon, Aaron returned to work at the bag store full of energy. But when she saw that everyone looked very upset, She became nervous. Ji-yeon claimed that their plan had failed and told Aaron not to stay there. She then revealed the news of Tao's death. Aaron returned to Tao's home and was overcome with grief at the sight of everything familiar. She lay on the sofa, unable to stop the tears from flowing. The next day, Aaron decided to take the children to another city to start a new life. The children were overjoyed at the news. However, they were reluctant to leave their friends at the kindergarten. Lucy saw her mother crying and hurried to wipe away her tears. Aaron explained that they weren't tears, but sweat from her eyes. Sure enough, a mother is always the strongest in front of her children. Soon, Aaron took the children back to her parents' home in Jeju Island. She found a job at a cafe by the sea. This kind of life was comfortable and relaxed. One day, a tall man came into the cafe. After buying his coffee, he asked Aaron to bring it to the chair outside. He said that and immediately ran out. Aaron had no choice but to take the coffee and go outside herself. Not far away, she saw a familiar figure. Tao slowly walked towards Aaron and hugged her in his arms. Aaron took Tao to the coffee shop where she worked. She curiously asked Tao what had happened during this time. It turned out that 10 seconds before the car exploded, the armed police in the car had gotten out early. The driver had also given Taos a set of keys and told him to find a way to survive. Taos quickly got out of the car and ran to the side of the road. Aaron was extremely relieved that Taos had survived. She then took Taos back to her mother's house. The children rushed into their uncle's arms as soon as they saw him. Aaron introduced Taos to her parents. Her parents warmly greeted Taos. By evening, the family was enjoying a harmonious gathering. After dinner, Taos thanked uncle and aunt for their hospitality and offered to help wash the dishes. Aaron mentioned that Taos was sensitive to sleeping in unfamiliar places and couldn't stay overnight elsewhere. Aaron's mother suggested that Taos find a comfortable place to stay for the night and come back for dinner the next day. Seeing this, Taos could only agree to stay the night at Aaron's parents' house. However, when it was time to sleep, Taos' snoring was deafening. Aaron and her parents were kept awake all night. She asked her father if Taos was very tired. It turned out that during the day, while Taos was playing with the children, an elderly woman from next door came looking for Aaron's mother to help with chores. Taos volunteered to follow the elderly woman. By the time Taos returned, she hadn't even had a chance to rest before another elderly woman came looking for Aaron's mother to collect seaweed. So Taos started his second round of chores. This made Aaron's dad chuckle to himself, thinking his son-in-law was really hardworking. When Taos returned again, he had even changed into a full set of the neighbor's clothes. The next morning, Taos and Aaron also brought the children to the beach. Thoughtful Taos was worried about the strong sea breeze, so he specially bought thick cotton jackets for the children. Aaron and the children ran ahead, while Taos followed behind, smiling affectionately. If only time could freeze at this moment. While the children were sitting on the beach playing games, Taos and Aaron were talking behind them. Taos told Aaron to stay in Jeju Island and relax for a while. He would definitely catch the murderer behind him. After leaving Jeju Island, Taos returned to Ji-yeon and Ha Junhee's secret base. When Ji-yeon saw Taos, she immediately ran up and hugged him. She couldn't imagine that the person she had seen die with her own eyes was standing in front of her, unharmed. Taos tells Ji-yeon that someone saved him before the explosion, but he has no idea who it was. What he needs to do now is find the person who wants to help him and the person who wants to kill him. At this moment, the director finds the eavesdropping sticker that was lost a few months ago in the refrigerator. Not knowing what it is, she sticks it on the coffee table. The movers then removed the mattress, and the director retrieved the USB drive containing evidence from under the bed. Curious, the director opened the computer to see what was on the USB drive, but as soon as she opened the file, she was stunned. It was footage of the assassination of the National Intelligence Service director, and the assassin in the video was the same person who had abducted Tom and Lucy. As she was still reeling from the shock, her son ran over. Her son also recognized the USB stick as something Lucy had left behind. The director immediately called Aaron and told her what she had seen. The two quickly agreed on a time and place to meet, but by then, the killer had already learned everything from the eavesdropping sticker. He immediately found the director's information and began his plan. Aaron then remembered the hourglass Taos had brought back and immediately called her daughter to confirm the situation. When she learned that her daughter had taken the USB flash drive, she immediately understood everything that had happened recently, including the death of her husband. Could it be that her husband had seen something he shouldn't have and was killed to keep him quiet? Aaron immediately hurried to meet with the director. The director had already left the office, trembling with fear, but just as she walked into the hallway, the assassin suddenly hit her on the back of the head. The killer also took the USB flash drive and her wallet from her bag. When Aaron arrived, she was terrified by the scene in front of her. She immediately called the police and an ambulance. Fortunately, the director was not seriously injured. only suffering a sprained neck. The director was very angry and said that she would check all the surveillance footage to find the thief who attacked her. When she looked through her belongings, she found that the USB flash drive and her wallet were missing. Erin asked the director if the man she saw in the video was the same person on her phone. She told the director not to tell anyone about this, including their two closest neighbors. Erin immediately ran to the place where she had found the USB stick. Then she went to the secret base and told Ji-yeon everything she knew. She told her about her husband and the director of the National Intelligence Service being killed on the same day. The person who killed the director and kidnapped the children was the same person. Erin broke down and cried, asking why they had to hide this. She said she was going to call the police and have them investigate the matter thoroughly. Ji-yeon told Erin that this was not something the police could solve, which was why they had formed a secret investigation team. Taus had approached Erin because her husband was a witness, but Taus genuinely wanted to protect Erin and her two children. Erin looked at the family photos and couldn't stop crying. Ji-yeon told Taus about the situation. It was the first time she had seen Erin cry so hard. Ji-yeon felt terrible inside. Soon, Taus arrived at Erin's doorstep, but he didn't knock. Instead, he stood silently outside, accompanying Erin. Hearing Erin's heartbreaking sobs inside, he felt terrible as well. The neighbors ran to the security room to check the surveillance footage, but found that the video from that day had mysteriously disappeared again. They were suddenly terrified and suspected that the place was haunted. In order to get the last eavesdropping sticker back, Junhee pretended to be visiting an old customer and brought flowers and gifts. He successfully got the sticker back, and the last danger was finally resolved. At the same time, during the time Taus was missing, the boss also turned to the organization behind him, but his goal was not to defect, but to become a double agent. He took out Taus's computer and the information he had collected and regained the other side's trust. The boss also used the remaining leather bags as exchange to see the boss behind them. Before completing the mission, the boss expressed his sincere apologies to Erin. The assassin accidentally killed her husband, and he couldn't do anything about it. Erin told the boss to cooperate with Taus and work hard to find those people. Otherwise, she would never forgive him for the rest of her life. Soon after, the boss received a call from the other side, arranging a meeting for today. But what they didn't know was that the USB drive had already fallen into the hands of the bad guys. Soon, the boss arrived at the secret base and reunited with Ji-yeon and the others. Taus had prepared a pair of glasses for the boss that could display synchronized footage. If anything happened to him, they would rush in to save him immediately. Soon, the boss put on the glasses and headed to the agreed location. He nervously knocked on the door. Ji-yeon and the others were shocked to see who was inside. It was the president's secretary. The boss walked into the room and began negotiating with Dong-hyun. He took out his car keys and told him where the briefcase was. Dong-hyun took out the USB drive containing the evidence. He asked his boss if he wanted to use this little thing to threaten himself. To their surprise, the boss didn't beg for mercy but instead spoke with great confidence. He had backup copies of the documents. If he died here, everything would be exposed. Dong-hyun wasn't intimidated and was about to signal the assassin to shoot the boss. At that moment, the boss said he was willing to work for him. Taus and Ji-yeon, upon learning about the big boss behind the scenes, decided to investigate Dong-hyun. They discovered that Dong-hyun was someone who kept important documents and files at home. However, his house was heavily guarded and impossible to approach. If they wanted to obtain any clues, they would have to infiltrate his house. By the time Ji-yeon returned, they had found a suitable way to infiltrate. Dong-hyun's house was currently hiring domestic staff. Ji-yeon planned to find someone to pretend to be a maid and apply for the job. They also learned that Dong-hyun's chief butler, Owen, was a mysterious figure of high status. Ji-yeon suspected that he might be a key figure in the assassination organization. Ji-yeon found Erin and asked her to help her. Erin decided to give it a try in order to avenge her dead husband. She asked the director to introduce her to Owen. When the neighbors sat together to discuss the matter, they also realized that this person was no ordinary man. Owen had a bad temper but was very skilled in cooking. Her weakness is that she loses her judgment whenever she sees a handsome man. Most importantly, she absolutely loves kimchi. Coincidentally, Erin is the best kimchi maker on the entire street. Taus is completely baffled by Ji-yeon's actions. What Taus fears most is seeing Erin get hurt. Ji-yeon explains that this is Erin's way of wanting to catch the person who killed her husband with her own hands. Taus goes downstairs to wait for Erin to come home. Erin also bought a lot of kimchi to prepare for tomorrow's plan. When she got home, she gave Taus the birthday presents the children had prepared. Taus asked Erin to tell the children that he really liked the gifts. Then he asked Erin if she had prepared a gift for him. Erin was a little embarrassed. She had prepared a delicious meal that day, but it had gone bad. so she had to throw it away. Taus then asked Erin if she had found a new job. Erin did not intend to tell him about the mission. If Taus knew what she was going to do, he would definitely refuse. Erin lied and said that she was working at a restaurant owned by her sister and that the salary was very good. Taus immediately said that he would go to her workplace to take a look. Erin quickly changed the subject, and Taus did not pursue the matter further. However, Taus was still very worried about Erin's safety. Early the next morning, Erin changed into a suit and arrived at Dong Gyun's house. Ji-yeon's car was parked nearby. She reminded Erin again not to pry into anything and just go through the interview normally. There were 3 people at the interview, all of whom were influential figures who had recommended her. Before the interview began, the butler warned Erin to tie her hair back and expose her ears. While fixing her hair, Erin secretly took the walkie-talkie out of her ear and slipped it into her pocket. Then she took out a rubber band and quickly began the first round of interviews. The woman next to her began to flatter the butler and said the words that the butler hated the most. She was dragged out before even being interviewed. When it was time to taste the seasonings, Erin successfully named all the ingredients. Just like that, Erin was the only one who made it to the final interview. She took out the kimchi she had carefully prepared and gave it to the butler. Erin was overjoyed to learn that she could start work next week. The housekeeper then informed Erin that the security system would automatically activate after sunset. She escorted Erin out through the side door and gave her some final instructions. Erin walked back home excitedly. She looked around for Ji-yeon but noticed a shadow flickering behind her. She immediately realized something was wrong and hurried out, only to find herself in a dead-end alley. Just as Erin was about to use the walkie-talkie, a gun was pointed at her head. Erin was terrified and begged for mercy. The one holding the toy gun and pranking Erin was actually Taus. Erin was nearly scared to death and snatched the toy gun away. Taus asked Erin, "Is this the place you said you were working?" It turned out that Taus had followed Erin all the way to give her a taste of what it was like to be an undercover agent. He had followed her all the way and acted as if it were real. Taus was very worried about Erin's safety, but Erin told Taus that she had passed the interview. She had also decided to go through with it no matter what. When the two returned home, Taus called Erin over again. He said that he had thought it through carefully on his way back, since she had accepted the undercover mission. Once her mission was exposed, it would be a difficult task to escape successfully. So Taus made an important decision, which was to start some simple training for Erin starting tomorrow. Early the next morning, Erin was pulled out of bed and taken to the playground to run. Soon, the neighbors arrived at Taus's door with gifts and food. Taus obviously didn't expect them to come directly to his house. The neighbors walked straight into the room, and Taus immediately reacted reflexively and stopped them. The director said that they had come to celebrate Taus' return. Taus wanted to invite everyone out to eat, but Incheol told him not to be so nervous and to treat this place as his home. Taus was desperate. This was clearly his home. Then the neighbors took it upon themselves to treat this place as their home and ordered Taus around. After everything was done, everyone ate and chatted. The neighbors also shared with Taus all the things that had happened in the community since he left. But Taus's reaction was somewhat bland, as if he had heard it all before. Erin reminded Taus to put on a show, otherwise he would give himself away. So Taus instantly put on a fake smile and pretended he hadn't heard them. Then they asked about Taus's relationship with Ji-yeon. Everyone thought that Ji-yeon was the woman who had helped Taus give birth to his son at the maternity hospital. Taus had no choice but to lie and say that Ji-yeon was a former colleague. At this point, the female neighbors' imaginations ran wild and they began to speculate. At the same time, the director called Ji-yeon to his office. Minister Lee asked Ji-yeon to terminate the king's briefcase operation. After all, Taus had already sacrificed himself, so terminating the operation now was the best choice. After hearing this, Ji-yeon asked the director to give her a month to sort out her affairs. After thinking for a moment, Minister Lee agreed. Before Ji-yeon left, Minister Lee asked her about Taus's business in the Swiss vault, using Woo Mikyun's name to probe her. Ji-yeon was a little taken aback. She lied and said that it was the first time she had heard about it, but she became suspicious of Minister Lee's words. Today was Erin's first day working as an undercover agent, but her undercover work did not seem to be going so well. The butler led Erin to the kitchen and instructed her that her work area would be limited to this place from now on. If she left the kitchen, she would be immediately fired. The butler then brought a large pile of garlic, which was Erin's task for the day. Thus, Erin began her day-long garlic peeling task. Meanwhile, Taus and the others watched Erin's garlic peeling livestream through her contact lenses. Despite this, Erin managed to gather some useful information from her colleagues. That was the second floor, where no one except the butler was allowed to go. Moreover, all the rooms on the second floor were locked, and they were only opened when the butler cleaned them personally. Everyone was puzzled by this news. Just then, Erin thought of something. The next day, she quietly left the kitchen and opened a cabinet where cleaning supplies were stored. She then secretly took out the hidden camera she had prepared in advance and installed it on the largest vacuum cleaner. Just as Erin was feeling smug, the butler pushed Erin aside and stared intently at the contents of the cabinet. Erin explained that she was very interested in vacuum cleaners and couldn't resist taking a look. Fortunately, the butler didn't notice anything unusual and just gave her a warning before closing the cabinet. Erin immediately started a new round of peeling green onions. At this moment, Taus and the others looked at Erin peeling onions with despair. At this rate, when would they ever finish the task? Just then, the vacuum cleaner with the camera started working. The butler took the vacuum cleaner and opened Donghyun's study to start cleaning. Ji-yeon and the others also saw all the structures and suspicious items inside. They noticed a high-end anti-theft safe. There must be important documents inside. Junhee zoomed in on the camera and analyzed how to crack the safe. If they cracked the password, they would ask Dr. Wu from the technical team for help. So Junhee immediately found Dr. Wu and brought him a device that could automatically crack the password. However, their meeting was seen by Woo Mik-young, although Junhee asked Dr. Wu to keep it a secret. When faced with his boss's questioning, Dr. Wu told him everything. The next day, Taus and the others began discussing their final plan. The boss said that the safe contained a list of people who had accepted bribes. At 7 o'clock that evening, the boss would be flying to Switzerland with Donghyun. This was the best time to act. Just then, Erin reminded everyone that the butler was not an easy person to deal with. But suddenly, she remembered something the director had said. The butler loses his judgment when he sees a handsome man. Soon, it was the next evening. As planned, Taus lied and said he was on his way home from work. Seeing that the butler was still hesitating whether to let him in, sure enough, no one could resist the temptation of a handsome man. After Taus finished repairing the living room, the butler, with a dreamy look on his face, invited him over for a drink. Taus made an excuse to go to the study on the second floor. Seeing that the butler didn't move, Taus had no choice but to use his good looks again, so the butler willingly took Taus into the study. Erin witnessed everything and couldn't believe her eyes. Taus pretended to reset the computer while the butler stood behind him, starry-eyed. Just then, Taus coughed twice. Ji-yeon immediately sent a signal to Erin. Suddenly, there was a noise downstairs, and the butler hurriedly ran downstairs. Erin had accidentally broken the butler's most cherished honey powder. On Erin's first day at work, her colleague had warned her not to touch that item. The last person who touched it had to stay in the hospital for 2 months. Her colleague was shocked to see this. Meanwhile, Woo Mik-young also told the director about Junhee borrowing the equipment. Minister Lee rushed to the secret base to check the situation but found a note on the table. The address was Donghyun's, and the handwriting was Taus. Minister Lee immediately called Ji-yeon to ask where Taus was. After hanging up, Ji-yeon immediately warned Taus to leave. They quickly drove away from Donghyun's house. However, Donghyun also received the news quickly. He hurriedly told the driver to turn around. It seemed that the plan to go to Switzerland would have to be postponed for a few days. Seeing this, the boss also realized that something was wrong. He took out his cell phone and secretly sent a text message, but the driver next to him secretly saw it. Meanwhile, Taus, who was still working on the decryption plan, finally opened the combination lock. He found a large sum of cash in the cabinet and also found the bribery list. But just then, the alarm went off. The butler downstairs realized something was wrong and rushed upstairs. Erin also brought the walkie-talkie to ask about the situation. Taus quickly packed his things. The butler also rushed in at that moment. She scolded Taus loudly, calling him a thief, and tried to pounce on him. But Taus knocked the butler unconscious in a few moves and quickly escaped to the courtyard. Erin had been waiting downstairs for a long time. Just then, she noticed the assassin approaching from a distance. Seeing that the assassin was about to shoot Erin, Taus immediately jumped down and pushed Erin aside, but his shoulder was accidentally injured. Erin looked at Taus' wound and was terrified, but Taus took the package containing the information from his body and handed it to Erin. Then Taus rushed out and started fighting with the killer. Erin also ran to the back door in a panic. The injured Taus was no match for the killer. The killer took out his gun and aimed at him. He seemed to realize that today was the day he would die. Soon, Erin heard a gunshot, but thinking of the task Taus had entrusted to her, she ran outside without hesitation. Fortunately, it was not Taus who fell, but the assassin. It was Woo Mik-young who saved Taus. The assassin escaped with injuries, and Woo Mik-young also walked over to Taus. When Ji-yeon and Junhee returned to the secret base, they were scolded by the director. who had been waiting for them for a long time. Minister Lee blamed Ji-yeon for not telling him that Taos was still alive. He also questioned them about whether they intended to steal everything from Dong-hyun's house on their own. These words made Ji-yeon suspicious. Just then, Minister Lee received news that Taos was injured. Everyone rushed to the hospital without delay. Ji-yeon immediately shouted at Woo Mi-kyung. Woo Mi-kyung told Ji-yeon that she had never intended to kill Taos. She had also received a tip-off and rushed over. This made Ji-yeon and Minister Lee very suspicious. Ji-yeon told Aaron about Taos' injury. Aaron was relieved to hear that Taos was still alive. Ji-yeon told Aaron to stay at home and not contact her to avoid getting involved. But Aaron was worried and wanted to see for herself if Taos was really okay. So the next day, Erin disguised herself as a nurse and successfully snuck into Taos's hospital room. She also brought the documents she had risked her life to protect. Ji-yeon was overjoyed to see this. It turned out they had successfully completed their mission before being arrested. While Ji-yeon was out answering a call, Erin took care of Taos. This made Taos very happy. Getting injured seemed like a good thing. He mentioned the time Aaron had taken care of the boss. Taos bluntly said that he was very jealous of her. Ji-yeon's phone call was from the director. Minister Lee asked Ji-yeon to give him the evidence she had taken from Dong-hyun's house. It would be safer that way. Ji-yeon agreed on the surface, but she had already sensed that something was wrong. Woo Mi-kyung took the Finnish exit permit that Minister Lee had forged 3 years ago and questioned Taos. The date of Minister Lee's departure was the same day Taos was injured. It was obvious why he went to Finland without carrying out his mission. Taos couldn't believe the truth. He even thought the exit permit was forged. Woo Mi-kyung called in the driver who saved Taos that day. She also told him that she heard Minister Lee arrange for someone to set up the explosion. Taos recalled the assassination attempt 3 years ago. It turned out that the person who shot him from behind was Minister Lee. He asked Woo Mi-kyung about the origin of the clover button. Ji-yeon also arrived at Minister Lee's office. Minister Lee reached out to Ji-yeon and asked for the documents they had brought back. Ji-yeon froze and asked about the relationship between the president and Dong-hyun. Minister Lee smiled and said that he didn't know him at all. Ji-yeon felt that there must be a secret that couldn't be revealed. She lied that she had forgotten to bring the documents when she left and said she would go get them right away. Ji-yeon hurriedly left the office. Feeling anxious and uneasy, she thought of all the clues that had been cut off and couldn't imagine that Minister Lee was the mole. Ji-yeon hurriedly left the National Intelligence Service and called Taos. But just then, a black car sped towards Ji-yeon. A man walked over and picked up Ji-yeon's bag that had fallen on the ground. Taos instantly realized Ji-yeon's situation. He took out the important evidence and gave it to Woo Mi-kyung, revealing the confidential information inside. Taos hoped that Woo Mi-kyung would be able to bring the bad guys to justice. Taos planned to go see the director. Woo Mi-kyung also took out his ID card so that Taos could enter the office smoothly. The director found that Ji-yeon's bag did not contain what he wanted and immediately called Dong-hyun to discuss a countermeasure. He quickly gathered important documents and cleaned up the computer. But just then, Taos walked in. Taos asked the director why he killed his innocent ex-girlfriend and Ji-yeon. The director coldly replied that they had interfered with the organization's system. He knew that Taos would not shoot him. Just as Taos was about to shoot the director, Woo Mi-kyung arrived with his men and persuaded Taos to calm down. Dong-hyun had already fled, so the only way to uncover the truth was to capture the director. Taos reluctantly lowered his gun, and Woo Mi-kyung handcuffed the director. After everyone had left, Taos looked at Ji-yeon's bag on the ground and felt heartbroken. He had tried his best to protect Aaron, but Ji-yeon had still been injured. Afterward, Taos also went to the hospital to visit Ji-yeon. He comforted Junhee, who was crying uncontrollably, assuring her that Ji-yeon would return safely. Just then, Aaron rushed in anxiously. Upon learning of Ji-yeon's injuries, she was also heartbroken. Junhee instructed Aaron to stay by Ji-yeon's side during this time. From now on, he seemed to have something very important to do. Because Taos had been cleared of all charges, he regained his identity as a special agent and took over Ji-yeon's position as team leader. Woo Mi-kyung also told Taos that the director would be transferred to headquarters tomorrow. Once there, Taos would be fully responsible for all related interrogations. At the same time, the assassin received a call from Dong-hyun. Dong-hyun told him to leave the country for a while and not to cause any trouble. So the assassin took his fake passport and limped away from the base. But halfway there, his wound started bleeding. He had no choice but to go to a nearby pharmacy to buy some painkillers. An elderly woman noticed the man and thought he looked familiar, so she took the initiative to greet him. But the assassin didn't want to pay any attention to her. The more she thought about it, the more she felt something was wrong. So she immediately hid behind a shelf. Then she notified everyone in the group. The other community ladies who were having dinner together also received the message at the same time. At this moment, the lady with glasses was secretly following the assassin and reporting his location in the group chat. Finally, the community ladies arrived at the scene. They rushed out from the front and back and surrounded the assassin. However, although they were shouting, they dared not get too close. Just as the assassin was about to pull out his gun, two patrolling police officers arrived. The killer was taken back to the police station. The director told the police about the man kidnapping Tom and Lucy. However, the women had no evidence, so the police decided to investigate the killer's identity first. But just then, a few people nearby started arguing. The police were busy dealing with them, but when they turned around, the killer was gone. Woo Mik-young had already put the director in the escort vehicle. After entrusting the escort to the counterterrorism team leader, the escort vehicle set off. At that moment, Taos and Junhee were investigating the vehicle involved in Ji-yeon's car accident. Taos unexpectedly noticed that the driver who hit Ji-yeon looked familiar. After conducting a big data facial recognition search, they discovered that the driver was the counterterrorism team leader escorting the director. Taos realized something was wrong and immediately called Woo Mik-young. Upon learning that they were already on their way, Taos panicked. Junhee immediately activated satellite tracking. Unfortunately, the vehicle drove into a tunnel. Taos concluded that they would definitely escape through the tunnel. Sure enough, by the time the backup team arrived, they had already abandoned the vehicle and fled. Junhee searched for surveillance cameras at the tunnel exit, but there were none in the vicinity. Taos believed that this was planned in advance. He thought of the boss who used to work under Dong-hyun. He asked the boss to contact him as soon as he had any news. Just then, Woo Mik-young arrived with Dr. Woo. Dr. Woo told everyone that he had given the director a pen on his birthday. Little did he know that it had recording and tracking functions, but he had forgotten to tell the director. However, in order to use the pen to track the location, he had to press a button. At this point, the director had already arrived at Dong-hyun's private residence in the suburbs. They discussed their escape plan. 4 hours later, they boarded a ship at the port and fled overseas via a third country. They quickly called their boss. The boss was a little surprised that they were contacting him at this time. Dong-hyun told the boss that the Swiss bank safe deposit box issue had not been resolved. He asked the boss to meet them at the three-way intersection at 5 o'clock to leave with them. The boss was very puzzled. Hadn't they discovered his betrayal yet? He immediately told Taos about this. Taos thought it was very likely a trap. The boss, who had once been afraid of death, now wanted to take a chance. If they didn't act now, they would never catch them. Junhee took out the sticker tracker and told the boss to keep it on him at all times. Soon, the boss arrived at the agreed-upon intersection. Woo Mik-young's men were disguised and guarding the boss. Taos was also secretly watching from behind, waiting for his chance. He observed the surroundings. The area was wide open, with many possible sniper positions. Taos immediately notified everyone that it was unsafe. Woo Mik-young got out of the car to check the situation. The disguised men around them were also holding guns to protect them. Taos looked at the boss, who was barely alive, and felt heartbroken. He had promised to protect the boss. In fact, Dong-hyun had long since discovered the boss's betrayal. The driver had seen everything when he was left behind that day. Just then, Dong-hyun asked the director if he had a pen and paper. Minister Lee also took out the pen with a tracking device that Dr. Woo had given him. Junhee, who had just returned to the car, saw the locator turn on. He hurriedly shared the good news with Taos and Woo Mik-young. They quickly got into their cars and began tracking the location. When they reached the end of the road, Taos slammed on the gas and rammed into the vehicle, blocking their path. Minister Lee and Dong-hyun sensed something was wrong and immediately got out to investigate. At that moment, Taos activated his combat mode and took out the assassins in the car behind them one by one. He then immediately went after Dong-hyun and Minister Lee, who were trying to escape. Seeing that they had no way out, Minister Lee pointed a gun at Dong-hyun's head and threatened Taos. If this man died, they would never be able to capture the boss behind the organization. Taos couldn't believe that Dong-hyun was just a tool to be used in the director's eyes. He shot the director in the arm. Woo Mik-young and his men arrived at that moment and arrested the two. A month later, Aaron and Taos came to the funeral hall to pay their respects to the boss. Looking at the boss's smiling photo, Aaron wished him a good life on the other side and never to be chased again. On the way back, Aaron asked Taos about the safe. In fact, there was no such safe. It was all a lie the boss made up to save his life. Soon, Taos returned to the community to pick up the children from school. His handsome appearance once again attracted the attention of the middle-aged women. Lucy and Tom were overjoyed to see their uncle coming to pick them up. They sweetly called out their uncle's name. Taos also took the two children home, jumping and skipping. Aaron also started looking for a new job. That day, she arrived at the interview location, but the place looked very strange. She nervously walked into the office and introduced herself, but the person sitting in the chair was Woo Mik-young. Under Taos' careful care, The two children also changed. They went from not washing their hands or brushing their teeth to rushing straight to the bathroom as soon as they entered the house. Next, Taos played Lucy's favorite game with her. He also played doctor and patient with Tom. Remember their first meeting? Lucy and Tom treated Taos like a customer and a patient. At that time, Taos looked like he had nothing to live for. But after spending so much time together, seeing this scene again was so warm and beautiful. Taos said goodbye to the children. He had unfinished business and had to leave for a while. He told the children to take good care of their mother and that he would be back soon. Because the mastermind behind the organization had not yet been caught, Taos was ordered to go abroad on a mission. Taos lied to his neighbors, saying that he was going abroad for training. Everyone sat together to see Taos off. The director took out the gifts that everyone had carefully prepared and asked Taos to open them. Afraid that Taos would miss everyone too much, they put a group photo of the four of them in the box. There was also a scarf that they had made together. The four colors represented the four of them. Just then, Incheol made a strange request. He wanted Taos to kiss him on the nose to show his gratitude. Taos actually stood up and gave his male neighbor a kiss of love. Before leaving, Taos and Aaron went to visit Jeon. Jeon was no longer in critical condition but still needed more rest. Soon, Taos flew to Finland, where the assassin finally appeared. The assassin crossed the street and came to a high point to carry out his assassination mission. But at that moment, in another room, Taos was also assembling a sniper rifle, waiting for the right moment to act. When the assassin noticed Taos across the street, it was already too late. Soon, a year had passed. A handsome men's cafe opened on the streets of Seoul. Curious girls walked into the store to see how much the owner resembled the handsome men in the posters. It turned out that the owner of the store was the same man who had been shot and killed. It turned out that the owner had survived after being rescued. Taos also fulfilled his promise to help the boss start a new life with a new identity. Within a year, Woo Mik-young was promoted to director and took charge of the entire National Intelligence Service. She also hired Aaron Bang to manage the handbag shop and continue to use it as a secret base. Aaron was always enthusiastic and took her work seriously, exceeding her sales targets every day. The neighbors were at the handbag shop accompanying Aaron at work. Woo Mik-young also came to inspect the work. No one knew her true identity. They only knew she had acquired the King's handbag store. The director, seeing that Woo Mik-young had moved into the community, began to recruit her into the community organization. After the neighbors left, Woo Mik-young assigned Aaron her first spy mission. Aaron was thrilled. She first entered a cafe to meet someone and successfully obtained a gift box. Then Aaron changed into a new outfit and came out of the coffee shop looking dashing. She followed the usual meeting point used by the organization, went to the subway locker, took out a suitcase, and rushed to the designated location. Aaron looked at the brightly lit streets and suddenly remembered the promise Taos had made to her. Thinking of this, Aaron suddenly realized something. She turned around and saw Taos, whom she hadn't seen in a long time, standing behind her. Aaron's eyes immediately filled with tears. After exchanging pleasantries, the two opened the suitcase in front of them. The card inside instructed them to dress up as a couple and go to New York to carry out a mission. The suitcase also contained matching rings for them. Since then, the two have lived a life without shame or embarrassment.